But I think the development of full artificial intelligence will spell the end of the human race.
It's a flying object, and we don't know what it is. I would hope somebody is checking it out.
With a rocket or whatever, but incredibly fast, opposite direction. It was too fast to be an airplane.
I'm glad the Pentagon is looking at this, because if it poses a threat, I want them on top of it.
Well, the craft generates its own gravitational field.
You said there's lights in the sky?
The internet has become the command center for criminals and terrorists.
911, what's your emergency? I need help, please!
Won't let it happen. That's what we're instructed to say.
Roswell, Area 51. Alien kept deep under the ground.
1, 0, 1, 1, 0, 1, 1,
self-serving. You're here for a reason. You're listening to Troubled Minds Radio.
Broadcasting live from a secret bunker just off the extraterrestrial highway. Somewhere in the desert sands outside of Las Vegas. From somewhere in space-time, loosely labeled Generation X on planet Earth. And asking questions of you in earnest. Into the digital darkness. Good evening and welcome to Troubled Minds Radio. I'm your host, Michael Strange, and hello to all of you who may also have troubled minds. What's going on, guys? It is Tuesday night, which means, of course, it's one of the nights we get together and talk about all the things we're not allowed to talk about. That's Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday at 7 p.m. Pacific. And what are those things we're not allowed to talk about? You may wonder. Well, too much, so let me sum up. Those things would be aliens, conspiracy, the paranormal, the government, academia, the 24-hour news cycle, propaganda, and the general feeling that we live in the upside down. And of course, as we do this to include you. I always say, and this is the absolute truth of the matter, that the secret weapon of troubled minds is you, because this is a conversation. It goes two ways. This is not just about me blabbering in the corner, too much ramble. That's only partially about that, and that's only because I don't like to script this stuff. Because once you script things, you read things, and then it sounds wooden. It just sounds wooden, right? You know what I mean? There's nothing wrong with wood. There's some beautiful grains of wood. I really love maple. You put a nice finish on it. I mean, it's gorgeous, but I mean, it's still wooden. You know what I mean? It's just let's call it less organic. And so that's why all along these shows have never really been scripted. I did try it at some point. I kind of spent all this time writing all this stuff out and spitting out all the exact single words I wanted to say in the exact sequence I wanted to say them, and then listening back, it kind of put me to sleep. I was like, really? All that work, and put me to sleep. And if it's put me to sleep, it's probably putting you to sleep. So, we just threw out the script and said, all right, keep calm, Mike, and ramble on. And sure enough, I did, and I have, and here we are. So point being is that it's partially about just beginning a conversation. That's my job here, is to begin a conversation about things you may or may not heard of in the past, present, or shall we say the future. And those things, are all those things are described and more. And because it's just too much to really break down all the things we talk about and consider on this show, it's what it's about. So that's my long-winded way of basically saying, I start the conversation, you call, and take it wherever you want to take it. This is as you know, this is a non-linear sort of situation. It's open-ended. We can take it wherever we want to take this. We can keep our feet firmly planted on the ground, or we can close our eyes and imagine being in in the cosmos. It all plays, and it's all part of, well, let's call it the net of creation. And we'll get to that tonight. That's what's on my mind. And of course, so again, long-winded way of saying, why don't you give us a call? 702-957-1037. That's 702-957-1037. We'll put you on the show. And click the Discord link at troubledminds.org. And it's a Discord, basically. Troubleminds.org is the official website. The phone number's there. And the Discord is a chat client. It's a voice client. It's completely free. It's an amazing program that's actually bringing people together. And I love it for that. I love it for the fact that there's so many versions of the technocrats out there that are, the technocratic elite and the brainwash and all the rest of this stuff that they're kind of just throwing down on us. That we're lacking sort of a pure communication vessel that isn't full of propaganda and censorship and all the rest of that. And as far as I'm aware, and as far as I've seen, for the most part, you can't have anything pure anymore. But for the most part, Discord is one of those situations where it's definitely been a very good thing. So if you haven't joined the Discord, I encourage you, please do that. Come say hi, troubledminds.org, click the Discord link. Speaking of Discord, we also have a Discord going on at fringe.fm. Go to fringe.fm/chat. That will give you a direct invite to that Discord as well. I'm watching all of them. I'm watching literally all the chats in all the places. Contrary to popular belief, I do not have 8 arms like a spider, or what, is it 8, 6? I don't know. I can't count, and it doesn't really matter. I only have 2. And so I try and do all the things, but it's difficult because there's only one of me running an entire radio show with 2 hands and 2 eyes and 2 ears and 1 mouth. So anyway, so you get why this is imperfect as it is. But in any case, 702-957-1037. Click the Discord link. What else do we got? We're streaming on Rockfin, YouTube, DLive, and Twitter, and of course broadcasting live on the Fringe FM. And so the whole idea here is I'm watching the chat in all the places and just kind of getting some ideas from you guys as we begin. And what's on my mind is, well, where do we start? Where do we start? What's up, guys? I see in the chat, still trying to do a couple last-minute things here because sometimes you're behind. Sometimes these concepts are so large they even floor me for a moment and I end up behind. In any case, let's do it. Let's go here. Let's begin in this spot with SciTech Daily, one of my favorites. And okay, now I'll tell you where I'm headed with this after we check this article out. SciTech Daily reports, mysteriously high fraction of dead galaxies found in ancient galactic city. Unlike all other known protoclusters. That's weird, right? That's a crazy way to start. So let's read a little bit of this. An international team of astronomers led by researchers at the University of California, Riverside has discovered an unusual massive cluster of young galaxies forming in the early universe. The newly discovered growing galactic metropolis named MAGAZ3NE, it's got a big number, I'm not going to read this whole thing, is a newborn galaxy cluster or protocluster consisting of at least 38 member galaxies and is about 11.8 billion light years away from Earth. All right, that's a long ways away. Galaxy clusters grow over time under gravity and in the present-day universe can contain hundreds or even thousands of galaxies, as well as hot gas and dark matter. As time goes by, their galaxies burn through the fuel available and evolve from vigorously star-forming galaxies into red and dead galaxies. Quote, in the early universe, all protoclusters discovered until now are full of vigorously star-forming galaxies, said Ian McConaughey, a graduate student in the UC Riverside Department of Physics and Astronomy and the lead author of the research paper published in the Astrophysical Journal. He continues, but incredibly, unlike all the other protoclusters that have been found in this epoch, many galaxies in this particular group appear to have already stopped forming stars, which is peculiar. It's an interesting thing. And so, as always, right, I start thinking in terms of, well, what about the larger something here? Is there a larger something here? And you know us, we talk about portals, we talk about Lovecraftian old ones, we talk about, well, just the nature of reality itself. And it got me thinking in terms of those cosmic cycles, those galactic weaving of, this in particular. And I thought, okay, so what does this mean, right? You peer back to the very edge of the known universe as far as we can see it, because clearly the further you look back in the further away the object is, the further back in time you're actually viewing, because of course it takes the 13.8 billion light years or whatever it is for the light to get here. So the further away the object, the further back in time you're actually checking. Okay, based on the technology we have now. Until of course we can just fire up a Stargate and go there directly and just find out what's actually happening there right now. Which, well, is that going on? I don't know. That's for another show. But okay, so point is that I started looking at this, and if you look at the photograph here, and it seems like there's a lot of dead galaxies here that are sort of suspended in this bizarre space, and it got me thinking that this kind of looks like, if you stretch your imagination just a little bit, like a bunch of dead flies hanging in a spider's web. And I thought, Mike, that's really out there, bro. What's wrong with you? That was my first thought. And then my second thought was, wait a minute. Maybe it's not so far out there at all. And so, well, it got me thinking in terms of all the rest of this, and that's what leads us here tonight. And that's what we're doing. So as we begin this, I have an idea. What about arachnophobia? What about how the idea that our DNA programming is built in for us to know things that we could never possibly know, except, well, because it's brought to us by our ancestors. It's brought to us by our genes and our DNA and the things that are sent to us at birth, at the moment of creation, okay? And so then in terms of that, I was like, all right, so that seems fine. That seems fine. But then dead galaxies hanging in a galactic spider's web, of course, got me wondering, well, what does that mean? If that's really the case here, and some have described dark matter itself as sort of a galactic spider's cosmic web holding all of these things together in place and, well, stretching them out accordingly based on the expansion of the known universe, right? So there's a lot here. And as I begin this thought, it gets me into, of course, philosophy. Of course, the nature of reality. Of course, well, Indra's Web, if you've never heard of it. And we'll get to that tonight. So okay, so as we begin, there's more of this. Let's skip to the next one here. And there's a lot going on with these sort of spider connections, cosmic spider connections, all right? So there's the first one. That's what got me thinking. And I started digging into things a little bit, of course, as I do, poking around a little bit and trying to see what I could come up with. And wouldn't you know it, reported by NOIR Lab, N-O-I-R Lab, and this is January 12th of 2022. So this is brand new as well. Cosmic spider found to be source of powerful gamma rays. Uh-oh. So now all I did was find these first two things, and I was like, all right, Mike, maybe you're not insane. That's okay. All right, so check this out. Investigated by the SOAR telescope, operated by NOIRLab, N-O-I-R-L-A-B. The binary system is the first to be found at the penultimate stage of its evolution. And yeah, they're calling it the cosmic spider. The cosmic spider. Read just a little bit of this, and then ask you some questions, because I got some questions for you. A bright, mysterious source of gamma rays has been found to be a rapidly spinning neutron star, dubbed a millisecond pulsar, that is orbiting the star in the process of evolving into an extremely low-mass white dwarf. These types of binary systems are referred to by astronomers as spiders, because the pulsars tend to eat the outer parts of the companion star as it turns into a white dwarf. All right, so you're telling me. The first thing I noticed was it seemed like in this first article by SciTech Daily that these actual things floating in space, these dead galaxies, seem to be almost like dead flies in a spider's web. Oddly enough, seem to be kind of haphazardly placed, just scattered randomly about. And if they're dead by cosmological terms, then, well, it's not that far of a stretch. Then, of course, wouldn't you know it, if you search cosmic spider, yep, in January, they have this article, January of this year, and they're talking about the idea that this, the neutron star itself, let's see, one more time, the orbiting star, blah, 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 I read it anyway. Okay, anyway, you get the idea. So point being is this. as I begin this conversation, this idea tonight, it's not just the fact that we have this sort of built-in aversion to spiders, all right? Not just spiders in the terms of arachnophobia, but spiders in the sort of primordial fear and doom response, that fight or flight that lives within us, that's always lived within us, okay? And from there, from the next step, it turns into... What do you think it turns into? It turns into, of course, something known as Indra's web. Because if you go all the way back to 1000 BC, well, we'll get into that later tonight. But so the idea is that there's this cosmic web, okay? And again, like I said, actual astronomers have described dark matter as being actually this cosmic web itself. But then, of course, as you know me, I start to get deeper and darker and weirder and more strange as the night goes, and the night is young. And I started thinking, okay, so if we have this cosmic spider web, what actually spun the web to begin with? Is there some sort of primordial 8-legged critter out there staring at us that, well, maybe is the creator of all that we know? So anyway, just a few thoughts here. Number one, have you heard of this idea of a cosmic spider? Number one. Number two, what about the idea of Indra's web or Indra's net, depending on the translation? How about that? I'll get to that in just a sec. And how about in terms of, well, in a cosmological sense, do you think it's possible that somewhere out there there's a giant galactic spider lurking in the darkness, waiting for the moment to, and I'll leave it at that, to do what? Spin some more cosmic web. 702-957-1037. That's 702-957-1037. And a lot more here. Let's see. We got more of this is from astronomy.com. And like I said, go ahead and search cosmic spider, and you'll find all kinds of this stuff. Check this out. A cosmic spider web is unraveled. Astronomy.com. A long-sought baryonic matter connects two galaxies provided by the Max Planck Institute, Garching, Germany. And of course, the composition of the universe still puzzles astronomers. Over 90% consists of unknown matter. Just 4% of the normal material of which humans are made, the so-called baryonic matter. Even this small part is yet to be completely understood. A team of astrophysicists for the Max Planck Institute for Extraterrestrial Physics and the European Southern Observatory and 2 institutes in the Netherlands have found evidence of the missing baryons in a bridge-like filament connecting 2 clusters of galaxies. All right. The universe is constructed like an oversized spider web. All visible material is arranged along the filamentary structure of the dark matter. On its threads and knots, this web holds gigantic chunks of baryonic matter, which are made of quarks and leptons. All right. So now we're talking. It doesn't seem to be a singular thing. It seems to be, as you search a little bit deeper and get into it, there's something here. The idea of this universal web that holds all things together. And of course, it got me thinking in terms of Star Wars, right? You guys all know Star Wars. What was the quote, right? Help me with the quote. Obi-Wan Kenobi, he's sitting there with Luke Skywalker, and they're speaking in terms of, Obi-Wan, what's the Force? As Luke's, little youngster hasn't seen the world yet and doesn't really know what a dangerous place it may be, and he doesn't even know what the Force is. And what does Obi-Wan tell him? Come on, help me with the quote. I tried to dig it up just before. That's actually why I was a little bit late starting here. I didn't start late, but why everything isn't just so as I like it to be. I was trying to get the quote so I could play the clip, and I ran out of time. But it goes a little something like this. Well, the Force is what gives the Jedi its power. It's an energy field that binds the galaxy together. All right? Something like that. I probably butchered it, but, right, you get the idea. And so, wait a minute. So we have this idea of this galactic web, this net, as it were. Indra's web, Indra's net. And then we have this other idea of the Force, all right? And in the Force, of course, it binds the galaxy together. It connects all living things, as Yoda said, and all the rest of this. And so you got to wonder then, so what is this? Does the Force come from this galactic Shelob? Then let's go all Lord of the Rings for a moment, shall we? Let's go super nerd and show you guys what an actual gigantic super nerd I really am. But okay, so that's the question tonight. Just a couple questions. Have you heard of this? The idea that there's a cosmic spider out there. How about the idea that the universe itself is sort of stuck together by this cosmic web? Some call it dark matter. Other elements are going to be the baryonic baryonic matter is the other. That's the term there. It didn't sound right when I thought matter first, but apparently that's okay. Dark matter, baryonic matter, right? So is there some sort of actual universal spider web sort of behind the scenes, the skeletal structure of the universe itself? Gets me thinking in terms of Star Wars. The Force is what binds the galaxy together, right? It's an energy field between all living things. All right. So then, okay, there. But then, let's go super nerd. And then I started thinking in terms of, okay, what about a primordial spider? All right. What about the very first spider? And the only one I know of offhand, without digging too deep and really spending 10 hours rabbit holing this, is a spider in Tolkien. That's right, Middle Earth mythology. I'm about to go super nerd on you. And there's a spider, not Shelob. Everybody remembers Shelob from Return of the King, and the past it's Cirith Ungol, and Sam and Frodo being led there by Gollum to be devoured by Shelob, the great spider. Right now, Shelob was actually not at that time in Middle Earth, the advanced stage of Middle Earth itself, Arda itself. Going super nerd on you here. There was actually Shelob had a mother, the first spider. A primordial spider that goes by the name... there's a few ways to say this. We could get super nerdy into Tolkien etymology. I'm not going to do that because I'll bore you guys to tears. But basically, in the Silmarillion, if you guys have read this one, there's a spider that goes by the name Ungoliant or Undulant, I think is how it's supposed to be pronounced in the Tolkien etymology. But it is basically the mother of all spiders, the primordial spider, the spider that spins darkness itself. Okay, let's see what I'm talking about here. Here we go. Let's see. Where is this? She is known as the Horror Night Spider. And yes, the name is pronounced Ungoliant, but it's spelled Ungolint. Ungoliant, I've heard. Ungoliant, I've heard as well. It just depends on, right, how deep, how nerdy you want to get into this. But, okay, so we've got this primordial spider, the idea of a cosmic web, and of course, Ungoliant in Tolkien mythology. So, in case you ever wondered if I was a super nerd, well, welcome to Troubled Minds. And yes, indeed I am. So, what are your thoughts on this? As we get going tonight, what I have on my mind clearly seems to be very far out there, but we haven't even touched on Indra's web yet. We're talking already Star Wars and the Force. We're talking the primordial first spider from Tolkien mythology, and then, of course, we're going to get to Indra's web tonight. So the question is this. Have you ever heard of the idea that the universe itself is one huge spider web held together, or holding all of everything together, the stars, the galaxies, everything? And so that idea of the universe itself is not just stars in a sense of, well, like a soup of stars and galaxies, but instead they're strung across, well, the void with a giant spider web. Love to hear your thoughts. 702-957-1037. That's 702-957-1037. And of course, we'll get to arachnophobia as well. And maybe your arachnophobia. Do we have an irrational fear of spiders as well? Let's lump that into the conversation, because why the heck not? I don't know. As you know me, I don't have the answers. I wish I did. Just asking some questions, thinking about amazing, grand thoughts larger than myself, and hoping you'll join me on the journey. One more time, 702-957-1037. That's 702-957-1037. This is Troubled Minds. I'm Michael Strange. More cosmic arachnophobia and weaving the net of infinity when we return. Be right back. Welcome back to Troubled Minds. I'm your host, Michael Strange, and we are streaming on Rockfin, YouTube, DLive, and Twitter, and we are broadcasting live on the Fringe FM. We're taking your phone calls tonight as we're discussing the idea of a galactic spider, a primordial something or other that has spun the web of creation. You tell me, have you ever heard of this? Do you think this idea is even too far out there for troubled minds? What are your thoughts? 702-957-1037. That's 702-957-1037. We'll put you on the show. It's as easy as that. All right. So where we left off was, okay, we got this idea of this galactic web. We've got these old universes, old galaxies that seem to be kind of hung up and called dead galaxies, no longer producing stars even early after the Big Bang, right? And of course, I say that because nobody really knows what happened way back in the beginning. But they appeared to me as they were flies stuck in a spider's web. And I thought, nah, could this really be? And so we were talking not too long ago on James's show, James Salcedo. What's up, Salcedo Paranormal? Shout out on his 100th episode. The idea of the spider came up. And so, of course, it got me thinking in terms of this. And we were talking about Driders from Dungeons and Dragons and all kinds of different things. These spider archetype and the actual like body of a spider and the head of a human or the torso of a human on top and all kinds of bizarre ass ideas, right? And that's really what this is about tonight. Just kind of thinking about some crazy stuff. There you go. Kelly got me the Obi-Wan link. Appreciate that. Thank you, sir. I'll play that a little bit later. Okay, so the thing is, right? Okay, so I'm not too far off the rails just yet. All right, as we begin this, it starts here, and so this idea of again, so back to the original idea of arachnophobia, and do we actually have an irrational fear of spiders themselves? So let's do this. Let's run down this real quick because it's a quick one, and then we'll get to the larger concepts of Indra's web and Indra's net, depends on your translation, and of course, let's see. So here we go. Here we go. All right, let's go to this. This is Market Business News, which is hilarious. I have no idea why they have this on their website, but hey, they can publish whatever they want. By Veronica Cruz. Check this out. Arachnophobia is in our genes, a product of human evolution. And yes, a new study suggests that arachnophobia, a fear of spiders, is in our genes, meaning it has become part of our DNA as a product of human evolution. The eight-legged arthropods presented such a major danger to humans that during our evolution, we evolved an inherent fear of them. Several experts disagree and insist the fear of spiders is the result of social conditioning. Well, how about that? Social conditioning or built into our DNA? A little weird. So I don't know. You tell me. Several experts disagree. Of course, Joshua New, assistant professor in the psychology department at Barnard College, part of Columbia University in New York, explains that in early human evolution in Africa, individuals able to identify spiders had better survival chances compared to their less wary peers. And so I'm asking you, if this is the case, and if I look up at the sky and I see a giant spider, does that mean I'm evolved? Or does that mean I'm not at all? You tell me. An interview with the Sunday Times, Professor New said, a number of spider species with potent vertebrate and specific venoms populated Africa long before hominoids and have coexisted there for tens of millions of years. Humans were at a perennial, unpredictable, and significant risk of encountering highly venomous spiders in their ancestral environments. And so, of course, there it is. Built into our DNA, or is this a sort of social conditioning? Do you get the EBGBs when you watch a spider, when you see a spider? Does it make you sort of jump out of your skin? More afraid of a spider than you may be of a ghost? Yeah, who knows? 702-957-1037. We're going to get to Indra's Web tonight, and the idea that the cosmological constant of the universe itself is not really a Big Bang, is not really, well, dark matter holding everything together, but in that the dark matter may be a giant web. 702-957-1037. I was just about to go to MJ, and he hung up. All right. You like how I did that? Time it perfectly. Say the number. Click the thing. Let's go to MJ in Virginia. And he hung up. Look and hear your thoughts. Okay. All right. Let's get back to this. Back to this real quick. All right. Humans were at perennial, unpredictable, and significant risk of encountering highly venomous spiders in their ancestral environments. Even when not fatal, a black widow spider bite in the ancestral world could leave one incapacitated for days or even weeks, terribly exposed to dangers. And of course, let's say in a study, a Professor New and Associate Professor Tasman German, who works in the Psychological and Brain Sciences faculty in the University of California at Santa Barbara, tested how rapidly volunteers could spot a spider when presented with several other images at the same time. They published their findings in the academic journal Evolution and Human Behavior. And of course, it's at the bottom of this article. And as always, my articles are down below in the description box on YouTube. The only reason they're not everywhere else is because they have limits on the things you can paste in. So there you go. There's that. All right. Yeah. All right. MJ, I'm talking to you. 702-957-1037. Jump back in here. I'll put you on the phone. Okay. Let's see. I got to send a message to. There's so many things going on. Let's see. All right. All right. So that's what's going on. So are we not on Fringe? Can anybody verify that for me? Can we get a double, triple check? It looks like we got. Looks like we got Sir Isaac Newton over on Fringe asking me what the topic is. It's cosmic arachnophobia, of course. Anyway, here we go. The vast majority of the 252 participants recognize the spiders much faster than other images known to induce fear, such as needles and flies. The Independent quotes Professor John May from Plymouth University in England, who suggested that certain spider features, angular and furry legs, dark colors, and unpredictable movements are what make the arachnids so unpleasant to fearsome to humans. Arachnophobia. I see you, James. I appreciate that very much. 702-957-1037. That's 702-957-1037. We're going to get to Indra's Web tonight, and the idea that there's this odd cosmological web that seems to be out there doing whatever it seems to be doing. And do you think so? Of course, it got me thinking in terms of the larger picture, meaning, is there some sort of primordial spider, very much like Lord of the Rings, out there watching us from the darkness, very much like an old one or something? You tell me. One more time, 702-957-1037. Let's go to James. James in Michigan. What's up, my friend? Welcome to Troubled Minds. How are you tonight?
I'm okay. Can you hear me?
Loud and clear. Everything's working on the audio end. Thank goodness. For one time, cross your fingers. Everything's working tonight. Welcome to Troubled Minds. So far.
Always helps if you say so far.
Yeah, right. Exactly. That's true. Otherwise, I'm jinxing myself. All right. So what about spiders, James? What about this idea? What do you know? Give me your take here, and then I'll pick your brain.
Well, that sounds like it would hurt, but
I'll be gentle.
But you know what's funny that you mentioned brain, because there's another thing I've heard recently: the idea that the universe almost looks like a brain.
Yeah, it does. Okay.
And then basically the idea is that it looks like a brain. If you were to look more at all of the nerves and all the connections between the nerves and all that, I think that's an interesting parallel. It makes you wonder if, at some level, everything didn't start out with as some kind of or with some kind of a spider energy being kind of thing.
Yeah, and again, it seems like in this case, it's not even it's like a super, troubled minds out there stretch. It seems that in many ways, the astrophysicists have described this dark energy, dark matter sort of network or system as exactly that, some sort of spider web that's actually not just holding the galaxy in place, or not the galaxy, just the galaxy, the universe in place, all the galaxies and whatever. And like, imagine like a stretchy spider web, right, that you couldn't break. If you had a bunch of like dead flies in it or whatever, and you stretched it out, right, those flies would become further and further apart from each other as you stretched it. And that's what's happening, right? Except that in this case, those dead flies are galaxies. And so, what's happening? What's the actual structure behind what's happening in the universe? But yeah, I think you're spot on here with maybe the brain idea, and maybe arachnophobia stemming from. So did we catch this from spiders in our past, James, or do we catch this from staring up at the sky and realizing there might be something out there in the darkness of the universe?
Maybe both. It's hard to say. I always wonder, because we know that there are different sizes of spiders and different kinds, just in nature in general. So maybe at some point, way far back, there was something similar to that we were afraid of, or even if we were not the same size that we are now. I mean, who knows? So yeah, it could be that there was something in the past, and it could be something in the way that in how the space looks, like you were describing there. Maybe even if there wasn't a literal connection, it could be because we know that people, even going further back, they looked for signs and looked for patterns and symbols and things. So maybe and that's how a lot of cultures and mythologies and I guess like religions were formed in some cases. So maybe there was a connection that way where people looked back up in the sky and saw something spider-like, and that's also where some of this came from.
Yeah, it could be. So also, what about? So I brought up the idea of the Force, sort of a network that kind of holds the galaxy, binds the galaxy together, in the words of Obi-Wan Kenobi. But and then also the primordial spider of the Lord of the Rings universe, Ungoliant, however you want to say it. Do you know of any other like maybe primordial spider sorts of things, maybe from the Marvel universe, or any maybe mythological concepts? Any of the rest of that? Just some ideas, including Indra's web. If you know about that, love to hear about it. If not, we'll get to that in a little bit.
Yeah, no, I only know a little bit of it from talking with or hearing you and others in the Troubled Minds server in Discord talk about it here and there. So, but yeah, no, it's really interesting that it seems like at the very least it's an archetype of something, just as the old ones, and all that, the Lovecraft stuff seem to be also archetypes. And I remember I pointed this out before in another show. Isn't it interesting how an octopus and a spider, they both have 8 legs?
Yeah. See, I got confused there because I was like, wait a minute, does an octopus actually have 8, or is it 6, or is a spider 8 or 6? I couldn't remember. They both have 8, don't they?
I believe so. I think there might be squid that have maybe different numbers of them. I don't know. But I know that it was 8 for at least one kind of octopus out there, yeah.
Uh-oh. So let's say in the primordial depths of life in the universe, maybe they're cousins. Maybe the octopus and the spider are actual cousins. Oh, God. Don't get me started.
Well, and if you think about it, one is associated with land, one is associated with water. There's 2 of your elements right there, so that's an interesting connection.
Okay, so what about, so then we've got, what is it, water, and the other one's what?
Land, just land. Spiders being on land. So
Earth, all right. Then what about we have Earth, like in the sky, we've got spiders in the sky, that's kind of what I'm talking about here. And then, then we're just missing one, aren't we? Fire spiders, which, oh man. Okay. So is there anything you can think of, like in the Marvel universe, something like this, like an actual, maybe ancient spider, something like that?
No, not offhand, but Spider-Man is not, or that whole universe is not. I'm not as familiar with that as I am with other characters. So, but great topic. This is really interesting.
Okay,
So,
sweet.
thank you for
Appreciate
doing
it.
this.
Appreciate it. Yeah, definitely. I love it. We're going to get to Indra's Web in a little bit and kind of fix that up as well. But what else you got for us, my friend, while we got you on the phone?
No, that was it. I just thought the whole brain analogy or connection is interesting as well. It's just makes you wonder what that has to do with anything, and the whole the way that things seem to mirror each other, going from the micro macro thing, the large to small. It's just always really interesting to me.
Yeah, that's what I was going to bring up as well, sort of the fractal nature of the universe, is that that's the big, the small, and then we're kind of in between, wondering what the hell's really going on. Yeah, good stuff, my man. Good stuff. James here has a podcast called Salcedo Paranormal. Please check it out. A good friend of mine and doing good work over there. He goes Monday through Friday at 5 p.m. Pacific time, 8 p.m. Eastern, and he's always talking paranormal and other great stuff. You're the best, James. Appreciate you, my man. Talk to you soon. Have a great night, okay?
Thank you. You too.
Thanks a lot. There you go. Simple as that. If you want to jump on the show and talk about primordial spiders from the ancient universe, 702-957-1037. That's 702-957-1037. And we'll put you on the show. Click the Discord link at troubledminds.org. And let's see. Just checking, seeing if we're on Fringe. Everything looks good on my end. Internet's stable. I'm logged in like I should be appropriately. Everything looks fine. Everything here looks good for once, if you can believe that. Except we have yet to test the phone line, but we'll do that shortly, I'm sure. I don't know. Great call, James, as always. So I think, all right, so let's get to this. We got a few minutes here before we get to the top of the hour, and I think probably to wind the hour out, let's get into this idea of Indra's net or Indra's web, all right? Put down the maybe juice here so I can get serious. Let's get serious now. All right. Now this is from the actual site. I want to cite this appropriately from pragyata.com. The Vedic metaphor of Indra's net. All right, here we go. Let's do this. Time to get serious. Indra's net is a metaphor for the profound cosmology and outlook that permeates Hinduism. Indra's net symbolizes the universe as a web of connections and interdependencies among all its members, wherein every member is both a manifestation of the whole and inseparable from the whole. W-H-O-L-E, for you those out there listening, not H-O-L-E, like Mel's whole difference. This concept is the foundation for Vedic cosmology, and it later went on to become the central principle of Buddhism, and from there spread into mainstream Western discourse across several disciplines. The metaphor of Indra's net originates from the Atharva Veda, one of the four Vedas, which likens the world to a net woven by the great deity Chakra, or Indra. The net is said to be infinite and to spread in all directions with no beginning or end. At each node of the net is a jewel, so arranged that every jewel reflects all the other jewels. No jewel exists by itself, interdependently of the rest. Everything is related to everything else. Nothing is isolated. Indeed, the fundamental idea of unity in diversity underpins all dharmic traditions. Even though there are many perspectives from which Indra's net may be viewed and appreciated, it is ultimately recognized as one indivisible and infinite unity. From the Hindu viewpoint, the one that manifests as many is named Brahman, B-R-A-H-M-A-N. Even seemingly disparate elements are in fact nothing other than reflections of Brahman and hence of one another. This notion of an organic unity is a signature of Hinduism and distinguishes it from all major Western religions, philosophies, and cultures. And there you go. This is how we start. This is how, well, sort of as we wind down the first hour here, about talking about Indra's net. And again, depending on the translation, sometimes that's Indra's net, sometimes that's Indra's web. And that's how it's been described in many terms. And so, of course, right, if we're talking about the idea of this net that holds everything together, like I said, I can't help but the idea of the Force from Star Wars, okay? Which, again, thank you to Kelly. I'll get that set up during the break, and we can play that clip when we come back. But the other idea is that, which, of course, in full Troubled Minds fashion, is if this net was created by something and it is indicative of a spider's web, then how big is that spider? And where is it? 702-957-1037. Love to hear your thoughts on this tonight. So I don't know. And so also on my mind is that idea of that arachnophobia, right? What about arachnids and the rest of this idea that it's built into us? It's built into our DNA from our ancient past. But what about if it goes further back than that? And what if when you look at the sky, somehow inherently we know and understand that the stars we're viewing are part of that Indra's web, and those jewels, those diamonds, those whatever they are that are in between the nexus points of the net itself or the web itself, those are actually maybe glittering stars. Or if you want to go micro macro, all of those are actually glittering galaxies. So you tell me. I have no idea. What's going on, guys? I see the chat out there. I see everybody. And yeah, let's see. Verified that maybe we're on Fringe. Is something going on here? Let's see. Can anybody double check that? Let's see. Nope. It's someone listening to meditation videos and being frustrated with the work they are doing. Are you serious? Are you being for real? Okay. Someone listening. Okay. All right. Okay. In any case, technical issues aside, oh boy, Indra's net, Indra's web. What is this all about? Again, we're talking in terms of the Force. We're talking in terms of the idea that there's something out there that holds the galaxy together, binds all living things. And then, of course, on top of that, what about this other idea that possibly in Tolkien mythology, there is a primordial spider that was around. Actually, even in the beginning, they don't know where the spider came from in Tolkien mythology. And showing my super nerd tonight, and listening to someone's living room. Are we being for real? Like somebody's logged into the Fringe and hasn't logged out. Probably is what's going on here. Holy smackaroni. All right, 702-957-1037. Click the Discord link at troubledminds.org, and we'll give you, we'll put you on the show. Easy as that. Let's see. Steve says, Mike, I was just on the Fringe on the Paranormal app, and that is what I hear. Birds chirping. Oh, all right. Okay. Well, I'll tell you what. I'm logged in appropriate. Here, I'm gonna see if I can fix this. Let's see if I log out of the thing and then re-log in. Because if it's not on there, what's the difference? Let's go back in. Let's see. All right. Let's see if that one is Shelob. What about Shelob's mother, Mr. Mission Control? I see you there. We're going to talk about Shelob's mother again as we go tonight as well. 702-957-1037. What's on my mind tonight is this: cosmic arachnophobia. Weaving the net of infinity. And what does that mean? It means Indra's web. It means the idea that the universe itself is held together by some sort of cosmic web with jewels at the center of these nexus points that may or may not be galaxies. So you tell me. And of course, like I said, in true Trouble Minds fashion, it makes me wonder how big that spider is. That is one big ass spider, isn't it? That is definitely one big ass spider. We'll get back and we'll play this clip from Kelly in a sec about the Force and all the rest of this. Oh, Melkor. Melkor's pet, Ungoliant, I think is how you're supposed to say it. Yes, I know the names. I'm a big nerd. I do know the names and the story of the two trees and these Cimmerils themselves, the light from the two trees. We can get into that as well. Just depends on where you guys want to take this. 702-957-1037. That's 702-957-1037. Let's smash the button and go to a break and see if I can fix this Fringe madness going on. All right, let's do it. How about this button? Yeah, that button. Sometimes I mess up my buttons. Sometimes you don't. So as we get down to this, the top of the hour, we got one more hour on the Fringe, if we're on there. If we're not, so be it. And then one more hour with you. Just us on the streams, YouTube, Rockfin, DLive, and Twitter. And we're hanging out, thinking about the cosmic web, whatever that means. And of course, how big would that spider have to be? 702-957-1037. That's 702-957-1037. This is Troubled Minds. I'm Michael Strange. Don't go anywhere. More cosmic arachnophobia, the Force, Indra's web, and you when we return. Be right back. about the alien abduction phenomenon. Aliens.
The aliens are looking through your eyes and they're accessing your optic nerve. I'm doing that. And through that optic nerve, they're transferring to your brain. People are random images as they traverse neurons in the brain.
So we got, all right, so maybe,
and they also feel them planting or receiving memories or ideas or images.
Broadcasting live from a secret bunker just off the extraterrestrial highway. Somewhere in the desert sands outside of Las Vegas. From somewhere in space-time, loosely labeled Generation X on planet Earth. And asking questions of you in earnest into the digital darkness.
good evening and welcome to Troubled Minds Radio. I'm your host, Michael Strange. And hello to all of you who may also have troubled minds. What's going on, guys? It's Tuesday night, which is just another strange night on Troubled Minds as we discuss all the things we're not allowed to talk about. That's Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday at 7 p.m. Pacific. What are those things, you may ask? Aliens, conspiracy, the paranormal, the government, academia, the 24-hour news cycle, propaganda, and the general feeling that we live in the upside down. We are live. If you want to be part of the show tonight, the number to call is 702-957-1037. That's 702-957-1037. Or we can put you on the show with Discord. Go to troubledminds.org and click the Discord link. It's as simple as that. We're streaming on Rockfin, YouTube, D-Live, and Twitter. We're broadcasting live on the Fringe FM. In theory, help us give some healing energy to maybe bring the Fringe back online for just a moment. And that's what's on my mind tonight is this: cosmic arachnophobia. Weaving the net of infinity. We're talking about not just the idea that Star Wars sort of has the idea of the Force, all right? There's something, this energy field that binds the galaxy, and not just the galaxy, the universe together, connected to all living things, in the words of Obi-Wan Kenobi. Thanks again to Kelly for getting me that quote. We'll play that in a sec. And then, well, what about the idea of Indra's web? How we have this gigantic web spread across everything, all of reality, all dimensions, everything, you name it. Indra's web is a net, okay? Though it is every nexus point of this web or the net has a jewel inside of it, which you can describe as micro-macro, meaning each jewel could be a universe. Each jewel could be a star in the sky. Each jewel in Indra's web could be a galaxy itself. It's impossible to say because, again, in the micro-macro levels of the world we live in, we're just one piece of the big and the small, so how the heck do we really know? But anyway, that's my thought tonight as we begin. We're also talking about the Lord of the Rings mythology, the primordial spider that goes by the name Ungoliant, something like that. I'm not sure exactly how most people say it anymore, but like I said, Tolkien etymology is a little deep for this conversation, so we won't get into that stuff. And, and let's see, we got that. Well, let's just get to it. Let's just get to our good friend, Derek in Massachusetts. Welcome to Troubled Minds. Derek, what's on your mind tonight, my friend?
No, Mike. Great show tonight.
Thank you
really
very
cool
much.
Stuff.
Thank you. I figured this would get your attention. You'd mentioned before your arachnophobia.
Oh yeah, I'm terrified of spiders. I always bring up if spiders were as big as us, they would take us, they would snatch us up, they would web us up, and then eat us while we're still alive. Like I have no qualms about killing spiders. If any spiders love it out there, I'm very sorry about saying that, but me and spiders don't get along. It's war, I tell you. It's war with the spiders. And it might be war. Like, I'm going to get there. If you want to go super nerd, I can go super nerd there with you if you want to. I love it.
Let's do it. Like I said, I know way more about super nerd stuff than I let on. It's just when you kind of go down some of those rabbit holes, people are like, what is this dude talking about? But yeah. No, that's the best. All right. Go right ahead.
Those people aren't going to like this, so here we go.
Okay. Let it rip.
I kind of want to, as far as like Indra's web, I picture that as more as kind of like just like the fractal nature of reality, as you said, and how like the jewels represent how anything we do reflects off into those jewels, and because of the web, because how all these jewels are then tied together, it reflects off into the faces of every jewel. So you're reflected, all of your actions are reflected on the faces of every face of every jewel in the entire cosmic web, that what you do ripples throughout the entire universe. So you matter. Everything you do matters, and everything everybody does matter. Like, but if you want to take it like cosmologically, then exactly like you were saying, like the micro and macro, they could be galaxies or universes and stuff. And on Earth, they could be. I use it to describe the world grid, like the ley line portal grid I talk about, and how that kind of is kind of like the fabric of reality. It's not like a energy beams around the planet. It's actually like the fabric of reality that binds us together. And on our, it's also like we are those jewels, and then on us, they're kind of like the acupuncture points all over the body. Like it's just this nexus of nexuses all up and down the line, you know. But I kind of want to go giant cosmic spider overlords if you want.
Sure. That's what I'm looking for. So that the Middle Earth actual mythology is that they have that giant spider, like a primordial spider, that even the original gods and the two trees, if you know that mythology, there's no actual reference point for where that spider came from. Almost like the spider itself is the void itself, meaning that even in the sense that they say that it disguised itself and its Melkor, its partner in crime when it attacked the two trees, that by spinning a web of darkness. So anyway, go right ahead.
Exactly. To piggyback exactly right on that, in the Venom Spider-Man mythology, like early in Spider-Man, they have like Madame Web, who's kind of this like goddess of kind of the spider mythologies, but she's more like a human. But I think it gets kind of esoteric depending on which story you're reading. But I know more about Null, like Null of the Void, and he is like relatively new, like maybe 4 years old at this point, but he's like the symbiote god, essentially like the black goo god. But because Venom, and he's created out of Venom, like in Venom comics, but because Venom is a Spider-Man character, he's also tied with spiders. So if you look up Null on Google Images, you're going to see this like guy in a throne, like in a spider throne with a spider on his chest, and all of his like aesthetics is all spiders. But essentially he's like the god of primordial darkness, and he creates the symbiotes, like this black goo, out of that primordial darkness. And he's just like, he himself is not a giant spider, but he's just like why kind of Spider-Man and Venom have that spider connection, and all his stuff has spiders on it, and it's very spider-like, you know. Just to piggyback on the dark energy, dark matter type stuff. But as far as like our arachnophobia and like the cosmic overlord thing, this is weird, but like back in the day, the researcher Crow 777, when he like first came out with his lunar wave theory and stuff, like right after that, or when he was like when investigating what the lunar wave could be, he stumbled on this researcher called Hadibov, who was like this Russian researcher. He was getting his like stuff translated, and like he's like this real scientist apparently. Or at the time, like we didn't know who he was. It was kind of this investigation amongst like the conspiracy communities, but he was saying like this the time before, it ties in like the time before the moon and all that kind of stuff. I have it 1 second. But essentially, it's very Gnostic in that we have like these Archon overlords, these Archon kind of rulers of this prison matrix that we're in, whatever. And those things are like giant spiders, basically, whether like metaphysical, invisible, or literal giant spiders, like either or kind of. And I think in the actual, so Hadibov, I'm kind of getting a little bit of echo, but so Hadibov ended up being just a writer, a fiction writer. Like once he finished getting his stuff translated, he found out that he was just a writer. But because of this, it just got me on my own personal rabbit hole of just looking at all the giant spider things in pop culture and like wondering if there was some type of giant spider overlord narrative kind of hidden in media, which I like to do, like kind of. So just to kind of start it off and see like it's maybe not that crazy, is that on the front of Bohemian Grove, like on the entrance to Bohemian Grove, is a sign that says "Weaving spiders come not here." You know. You can hear me, right? Everything.
Yeah. Perfect. Sorry about that. I killed the echo. You should be good. Yeah, that's creepy. Weaving spiders come not here. What the hell does that mean?
I know. So at the time, also kind of the owl narrative, the idea that owls were also a symbol of the Illuminati. So there's different theories that there's like one, or like there's two different competing groups of elites, kind of controlling whatever we're in. One worships this owl god. One worships these spider overlords, and that's just one narrative. I don't think I believe that, but it was fun at the time, you know. And another is that potentially the elites. This is like the only possible idea for maybe the elites are on our side, is that they're aware, because they're aware of what we're living in. They're aware that we're in some type of simulation, prison, matrix, whatever. They know about the Archons, and they're trying to like bust us out of here, you know. And I don't know if I believe that, but that's just one of the narratives. And that these Archons that they're fighting, these overlords that they're fighting, happen to be giant cosmic spiders, you know, space spiders. And yeah, so at the time,
it just sounds ridiculous to say, doesn't it? You're like,
insane. It's insane.
What did I just say?
I know. So just so everybody's, I put up the Hattie Bob thing. Again, this person turned out to be just a fiction writer, but just because of I like to call myself a synchro mystic. So it's just how these different ideas pop up and how they find you and the different rabbit holes they lead you on. It all kind of matters, and it all kind of brings you to different ideas. And so just so you know what the story is, I'm just gonna kind of read it. So in the story, Hattie Bob, I think this is what. I don't know, it's whatever. Hattie Bob worked for a state-sponsored oil institute during the 1980s. As an employee with the Samara Institute, they approved there was a disagreement about what wages. He went on strike and then found a way to institute the institute's supercomputer for personal use. Yada yada. He found out that what we're in is on the surface of the Earth is called a Brovsky land management system, a combination of super system. Sorry, I'm just reading this jumble of nonsense fiction. A combination of super system that utilizes various frequencies, control mechanisms, octave generations, and information arrays to create the reality we live in. The overlords to this program, an arachnid parasitic life form that originated from the Megrez system and intervened with our solar system in 18,337 BC. Like a time before the moon, they constructed the moon. They're like from a planet called Phaeton that now exists between Mars and Jupiter in the asteroid belt. Blah blah blah. This whole fiction. Again, not real. He just made it up, I'm pretty sure. So Crow doesn't really talk about it anymore. But it just led me on my personal seeing it in media thing, and I have a list here of different ones that I kind of noticed. So you mentioned the Lord of the Rings thing already. There's also giant talking spiders in Harry Potter that live in the woods and kind of run the woods, you know. They're basically all the King Kong movies. They're in the most recent ones with King of the Monsters and stuff. One pops up out of the ground. Eight-legged Freaks. There's a spider invasion. That TV show Falling Skies, which is on from TNT back in the day, which is a pretty underrated show, pretty good about what happens post alien invasion, and they're kind of spider looking things. The Witcher opens with him fighting a giant spider in a swamp. Null I already mentioned. There's The Strange World of Planet X from 1958, where huge insects from Planet X invade Earth after they blow a hole in the ozone layer, which is a 1950s version of CERN opening a portal kind of. And then there's this weird thing. This is this famous Kevin Smith story. Kevin Smith, the director of Clerks and Dogma, and now he's
I've heard this.
So this is ridiculous. But if you don't mind, I like telling it.
Yeah, go for it. No problem.
All right. So I'm a big Kevin Smith fan. Even though he recently butchered He-Man and all that kind of stuff, but I'm a fan. He's a big podcaster now. But before he became a podcaster, he used to he was famous for a couple of classic kind of open mics things he did, kind of just kind of just talks he did, and they all kind of went viral back in the late 90s or whatever. And one of them, he's telling the story of when he was hired to write the Tim Burton Superman movie that never existed. So after the first two Tim Burton Batman movies with Michael Keaton, they wanted to make one with Nicolas Cage as Superman, and Tim Burton was going to direct it, and there was a script for it that Kevin Smith wrote. And then in this story that he always tells, he goes to John Peters' house, who's this very eccentric movie producer who produced Caddyshack and all the Batman movies and all the Superman movies, but he's a real eccentric rich guy basically. So this weird Hollywood elite, and he meets at the house, and he clearly during this meeting is just trying to pitch. So he makes all the people come to his house, and he lays back and he has them act out the script. For just one person, just the writer of the script, act out the script for him, and he intervenes gives it weird ideas, and he kept pitching the idea of you got to make Superman fight a giant spider, and Kevin Smith's there's no giant spiders really in Superman mythology. What are you talking about? like spiders are the fiercest animal, like fiercest insect in the animal kingdom. Blah blah blah. You have to have them. You have to have it in there. So he's like, okay, all right, I guess I'll kind of add that in there. And he kept like interjecting it a bunch more times and adding weird like things to it. And then so Kevin Smith leaves the house, goes back, and he's like, yeah, I had the meeting with John Peters. And they're like, well, did he ask about the spiders? He's like, yeah, he asked about the spiders. What's up with that? He's
asked about the spiders.
I don't know. Yeah, he's like, I don't know. He like has a thing for spiders. He's like, yeah, that's weird. That's weird. So he ends up not making the movie. And there's like real pictures of like ones that Tim Burton himself made, like of the character Brainiac, which is like some super genius robot in Superman mythologies, one of Superman's big villains. Nothing to do with spiders. But in the movie, he was supposed to be played by Christopher Walken. And there's this thing you can find it online of Christopher Walken's face all green like an alien with like a robot spider body. That was going to happen. And then so he was again this alien spider. And then in the Kevin Smith story, he goes and he watches. He never writes the script. Like the movie never comes out. There's no Nicolas Cage Superman. And the next summer, he's going to see Wild Wild West, also produced by John Peters, the same weird producer. And then the end of that movie, spoiler alert, Loveless, like the villain of the movie, creates this giant mechanical spider that they have to destroy. And he's like, what the hell, a giant spider? And then he goes on to produce Man of Steel, which kind of has this weird giant spider thing that like tries to create Krypton on Earth, like this world forger thing. So like, and this is all, the first time I heard this was kind of at the time of thinking about this, why are they putting all this weird talking giant spider beings in movies and stuff, and then why these elite Hollywood producers wanting specifically to interject this narrative into the movies and stuff, mixed with like the Archon Gnostic stuff of do we have some type of overlords, and may they be like, are they spiders? They may or may not be spiders. You know, but that's a lot of craziness. So what do you think about that? Sorry for the ramble.
No, you're good. You're good. I've actually heard that. I saw that exact clip you're talking about. And so John Peters is the guy's his name, right? John Peters.
John Peters.
So as Kevin Smith tells it, he's laying like on the couch and he does like the movie thing with his hands, right? to envision the movie as the person pitching the script is acting it out. It's like what the hell is wrong with these people? First off, right? That's the first thing.
It's just classic. But it's what I vision, like just these people, these crazy Hollywood people, just with weird ideas and a lot of money, you know. And it's just they have agendas that they're trying to put into movies, and this is just some jokey Kevin Smith comic-y example of it. But this is a guy who, for some reason, wants to inject the idea of evil giant spiders into our pop culture, and it's like I just that idea like came up at the same time as the Gnostic Archon, Archon's some type of invisible metaphysical spider octopus type thing, like. And then there's a Lovecraft one too. Let me read that. 1 second. Sorry, I gotta find it. Sorry. No
problem. You're good.
Arachnophobia resembles a giant spider with an anthropomorphic face capable of some human expression. It dwells in a cave system beneath Mount Vormith Odrith in the now extinct Arctic kingdom of Hyperborea, where it spins a great web bridging the many caverns of the underworld together. So Arachnophobia's web is the bridge between dream worlds. So essentially this character is kind of what you'd imagine as some type of Indra. Like Indra, who weaves Indra's web, is not a spider. Like that character is not a spider, just like the king of the gods in Hindu mythology. But this Lovecraftian old one sounds a lot like that if there was some type of primordial spider, like weaving the web between realms. That's exactly what this thing is. Like his or its webs are what connects us to the dream world. And then in a lot of like, not all, but in a lot of dream mythology, like a lot of dream traveling mythology, there's the idea of the dream cord, that you actually have a cord attached to you. And like, if it severs, something happens. Could that be like thought about as some type of web, some type of silk, spider silk that connects you, like kind of anchors you? I'm not sure. I'm rambling, so maybe I'll take off. But
no, you're good. That's sort of that silver cord idea when you're doing that astral travel.
Exactly.
It connects you back to reality. So before you go though, you brought up the dream idea, and then all the dreams come from the same web. Check this out. A Hopi proverb says this: "All dreams spin out from the same web, my friend."
Wow, nice.
And so you knew it, you just didn't know you knew it. And you basically said that without saying it.
I think that in the chat somebody mentioned the dream catcher too. That also kind of looks like a web. So there's still that kind of spider dream idea, which is trippy, And why do we have a like in the evil reptilian mythology? No offense to Ash, shout out Ash. Like in the reptilian mythology, people say our like basic ingrained fear of reptiles of snakes is because of this. Like even like in biblical stuff, our fear of snakes is that evil serpent, or are these evil reptilians that early humans grew to fear, this other race of hominids. So in the same vein, if our arachnophobia, would that stem from some type of realization that there's this evil spider in the shadows of reality, or a more literal alien invasive spider? Like what if it's less of a Archon prison matrix and more of a literal, like, I don't know, what if we can't get out of here because there's some type of literal barrier, and the creators of that is some super advanced spider race? Like, spiders are scary, I'm afraid of spiders. If they were big, they'd hurt us. And if they're big out there and they found us, like a big alien race, and they found us, I don't think they'd be that great. Charlotte's Web is basically the only positive. I think they're good in Harry Potter too. But yeah, there's way more negative spider stuff out there than there is positive. But I'll let you go, Mike. Great show. Good topic tonight.
Do the best. Appreciate that. Derek here, the Night Stalker, has a YouTube channel. Check it out. Links in the description. Brilliant stuff from him as always. You're the best, my friend. We'll talk to you later. Have a fantastic
later,
bro. The easy as that. So if you want to be part of the show, we're still talking about this, right? What about Indra's Web? What about this idea of the net of infinity? What's going on with this? Is this primordial fear of spiders within our DNA, or does it go deeper than that? Is the idea even larger and even back to the beginning of things, meaning that the web itself is the web of the universe? And so, in true Troubled Minds fashion, it can't help but make me think, if that's the case, how big is that spider? And and if you want to think about giant spiders, so I don't know, from let's say Middle Earth, remember Mirkwood and in The Hobbit, we had those giant spiders, right? They were pretty terrifying. They spoke. They had sort of that anthropomorphic sort of face, kind of spiderish, kind of humanish, and they spoke. They actually spoke. Remember, sting, it stings, it stings. Remember that? And their mother was Shelob, of course, of Akira Thungol fame from Return of the King, and then also Shelob's mother was Ungoliant, however you want to say that, and that is the primordial spider of the abyss itself, meaning that the web that Ungoliant spun is actually darkness itself. So you tell me, how big do these spiders get, and what in the world is going on? If you want to be part of the show tonight, I would love to hear your thoughts. What about Indra's Web? What about these primordial spiders? What about arachnophobia? And what about the cosmos itself? Is there some relation here? Is there some sort of fractal micro macro situation going on with these spiders? Or is Mike just drinking too much baby juice? Love to hear your thoughts at 702-957-1037. That's 702-957-1037. We'll put you on the show. Fantastic calls thus far. If you've never called into Troubled Minds, tonight is your night. What do you believe regarding, how about the web of infinity? How big can these spiders get? And how deep does your arachnophobia go? One more time, 702-957-1037. That's 702-957-1037. This is Troubled Minds. I'm Michael Strange. Don't go anywhere. More cosmic arachnophobia, cough button, and weaving the net of infinity when we return. Be right back. Welcome back to Troubled Minds. I'm your host, Michael Strange, and we are streaming on Rockfin, YouTube, DLive, and Twitter, and we are broadcasting live on the Fringe FM. We're taking your phone calls tonight as we discuss the idea of a primordial ancient spider. Well, do you think this actually works, or do you think it doesn't? We're talking about Indra's Web. We're talking about Shelob from Lord of the Rings and Shelob's mother, if you don't know who that is. We're talking about the idea that, Kevin Smith, as described by our good friend the Night Stalker, has a Hollywood mogul trying to interject spiders into Hollywood movies. Not just regular spiders, but giant spiders. What is this? An homage to some spider god? Oh, geez. How did we get here? 702-957-1037. That's 702-957-1037. We'll put you on the show just like this. Let's go to Joseph in Iowa. Welcome to Troubled Minds, my friend. Go right ahead.
Hey, so I actually wrote, I watched this thing about jumping spiders, and they are one of the craziest predators. If they scale them up, it's ridiculous because they never miss. They even put them on sticks and had targets in front of them, and they would move the stick as it would jump, and it would, while it's in the air, it would correct itself in the air using its web. So like a little thruster.
That's pretty
So
wild.
these things are incredible. Yeah. And then I came up with this quote about cause I went into I had a near death before that, and I was kind of researching a lot into it, and it was like a fabric. I mean, and I wrote, a spider now bounces its web, split from the machine it was created. And then I was kind of thinking as the light being or not the light, what I experienced or everything what we experienced could be created like a web to to catch information, kind of like the dream catcher thing.
Yeah, except instead, it's
maybe
sort of in a digital sense, right?
Yeah, the system we're feeding it, but maybe it was created. It could have been created from by us, in ourselves. I imagine it from the pyramids. A grand project like that had to be building something inside of us. Is how I always see it, and maybe that was a war, not war, but to extract or a negative force against a positive force that was going on in nature.
Yeah, I like it. Tim in the chat says sort of a bio network. I dig the idea, man. Is that so? What do you think then in terms of this arachnophobia thing? Do spiders give you the willies here?
Yeah, actually.
Yeah, right.
I get freaked out a little bit of spiders.
Yeah, you especially if you can see their eyeballs, all those eyeballs staring at you and stuff. It's a little creepy, right? So there is that irrational fear of spiders. Do you think it is something greater than just maybe, we know from our DNA knowledge, that sort of thing, that we should avoid them because they're poisonous, or do you think that it's something deeper and more cosmic than that?
I think just not knowing what they are and knowing that they could be poisonous, because a lot of people are not knowledgeable about it, could be the reason why you're so scared, because it's a hit or miss. You're almost gambling, or I don't know.
I like it.
Something like that,
Yeah, that's fine. That's fine. I also like the jumping spiders, how they never miss, and they use their web as some sort of thruster.
Yeah.
There's your cosmic spider right there. Just start thrusting around.
And
the
I
universe.
kind of applied that to my subconscious. When I questioned stuff, I'd be yeah, I'm like the jumping spider. I never miss.
Oh, gotcha. But work it into a song. I like it. But see, the thing is, they got to know the context. So I wouldn't have known that if you didn't tell me. That is wild, though. So that means if they jump onto your face, that's where they wanted to jump. See what I did there?
I imagine if you're traveling though, and you got stuck in this web, and you were stuck in it and nothing, and it was just getting intel from you, you would eventually learn what created the web, and then you would become you would basically become the spider, or learn, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah, definitely. It's hard to say. I think that's why we talk about this stuff, because it seems that there's more than meets the eye to a lot of things with life and just sort of the reality we live in. So, as you know, we talk about all kinds of stuff here, but we hadn't actually ever talked about spiders in this sense, sort of a cosmic sense. And it does seem that, like, at every level, it seems to be one of those things that does sort of, I don't know, like arachnophobia is also the concept itself, sort of part of that micro and the macro, meaning that we feel it within us. We're scared of these spiders, but it's because there's spiders here. But what about like microscopic spiders, right? What if, like, the further you go, what if like the God particle itself, what's smaller than that? Maybe there's spiders, you know what I mean? But then what about on a large scale? What about what spun the web of the universe? That's a big ass spider too. great stuff.
Yeah, it's
Joseph.
kind of weird that the biggest universe or biggest nebula is called a tarantula nebula.
Exactly. I actually have that in the links here as well. There's a whole lot of things where we've talked about the octopus in the past and all the 8 legs and all the rest of this. But what if we're misinterpreting it and it's spiders instead? Wild stuff. I got to cut you short a little bit. We got a ton of calls behind you, my friend. Is that cool?
Alrighty.
You're the best. Yep. You're the best. Joseph here has a YouTube channel called Hydro Host. Check it out. He does original music and some other things. A good friend of mine. I appreciate the call. You have a great night. You're welcome to call back in the third hour, later. Of course. Okay. All right. Catch you later.
Alrighty.
Thanks, Joseph. Have a great night. As simple as that. 702-957-1037. Great stuff from Joseph. As always, let's go to, looks like a first-time caller. Is this Joe in Arizona? Welcome to Troubled Minds. Go right ahead, my friend. Hello?
I think it says, is it AR? Anyways, it's Joe Roop from Arkansas, not Arizona.
Oh, see, what a knucklehead I am. Joe Roop in Arizona. Go right ahead. Arkansas, I mean. What's up, Joe? How are you? Thanks for fixing the fringe.
What's up, man? Hey, sorry about the tech glitch on the Fringe FM. I was just trying to get Alex trained up on the live broadcast, and I think it interlooped into your stuff, so my bad on that.
Gotcha. But, no sweat, man.
I just want to also tell you, dude, like, you're doing a fantastic job, man. Seriously. Like, there's a lot of talk going around about your show, and I just wanted to say that first and foremost, man. You're like a dream come true to a radio station owner. So good job on that, brother.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
For real.
It's glad to know somebody out there is listening. So you know how it is. Sometimes you're on a microphone, you don't even know who the hell's out there listening. Sometimes it feels like you may as well be talking to yourself. I appreciate that. Thank you very much.
Yeah. And I'm exhausted. I'm going to start broadcasting tomorrow night from this trip, but I was listening to you, and, the spider is like one of the only, well, there's a few animals that understands nature, the spiraling force of nature, or that golden ratio, like it puts out a web, and it's pretty trippy that it does that naturally to capture things and catch them. So if it's doing that in nature, that's already trippy enough. And secondly, it's one of the biggest, I would say, or most ran into things in the astral realm. When people travel, they run into things like serpents or spiders most of the time. So it can be a very real thing, right? So if you're out of body, and a lot of people are talking about running into serpent spiders and octopuses, there's definitely something real about it, I would say. I don't know how many people have had an out-of-body experience and seen a spider, but there's a lot of talk about it, and that's heavy, man. That's a heavy influence. I don't understand the fear. I still haven't figured out why there's such a fear about the animal, but it's just inherent with it,
Yeah, definitely. Do you actually get the willies from spiders? Do you get that feeling, sort of that guttural feeling when you see them?
No, here's the weird thing, not in real life, but when I have the dreams that I've had about them, like I said, if they're in a dream or in the astral realm or something, I definitely get a fear feeling, right? And most people that tell you if they see them in a dream, they feel fear. So that's the trippy part. But I don't have it, I don't have fear of them in the real world, though.
So it is disconnected. It's connected, but it's disconnected also. That's wild. So you have actually experienced this. You've seen spiders actually sort of like in a astral state then.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. And it is directly correlated with fear. I think it has something to do, in the real world, if you look at the golden ratio or the spiral, and everything manifests in that spiral, or the spider is actually using that spiral to trap things. So in the astral realm, it could be like this archetype of an animal that traps you or traps your consciousness, so to speak, and that's why it brings fear. Anything that binds you is going to bring fear to you. And if you think about all of the other animals that use the swirling forces, like snakes and stuff like that, maybe that has something to do with the correspondence of like trapping your consciousness too, you know?
Ah, the old soul trap, eh? I love it. I love it. So let me ask you then about these spiders that you've seen in this astral travel sort of situation. Are they like very spider-like, or do they have sort of this anthropomorphic feature as well, meaning that they have human faces or human mouths or things like this?
Now, I've heard of people talking about that, but I've never, in my dreams and travels, I've always just seen the spider, and usually it's dark and it makes a web. I've never seen like the face, or that's freaky, man, thinking about it.
That's super freaky.
But no, I've never seen anything like that. I'm sure that would freak me out if I did, though, but I haven't seen anything like that.
That's super freaky. Go back and watch the original Hobbit cartoon. I think it's from like 1977. Watch that if you haven't seen it. In Mirkwood Forest, there's like these spiders that are kind of like that. They have these faces and they speak, and it's creepy, bro. It's creepy, bro. Good stuff.
Is creepy, man.
Super creepy. Good stuff. What else you got for us, Joe?
And that's it, man. I just wanted to just call in and say thank you for real. I mean, like all of the stuff that we talk about on the station, like you not only do it, but you help others, and like you have no idea. You're a godsend, dude. I really am not blowing smoke. I think
Thank you.
You're one of the best out there, brother, for real.
Thank you. I appreciate it very much. Let me know if you need anything. As usual, you know where to find me.
That's right, brother. Talk at you later.
You're the best.
Right,
have a great one. That's Joe Roop. That's Joe Roop, the owner of Fringe FM. He does a show called Lighting the Void. Usually airs after me at 9 p.m. Pacific time, and you can find him there Monday through Friday. He does a show. So tonight he's just returning back from Arizona. He had a retreat with I believe it was Sam Tripoli and some other nice folks that they were doing sort of a mountain retreat. They sold it out, and we're waiting to hear how that went. So I guess we'll hear about that from him tomorrow night. So thanks, Joe, for calling in. I appreciate that very much. 702-957-1037. Click the Discord link, troubledminds.org. We'll put you on the show. Easy as this. Let's go to Jennifer in Missouri. Welcome to Troubled Minds, my friend. Go right ahead.
Hey, Mike. Yeah, Joe's right. You're one of the best out there, I think, as well.
Thank you. Very nice.
It's a good show tonight. Yeah.
Thank you.
With the cosmic spider thing, I think that everything everybody's mentioned tonight, I think is, it's invaluable to try to understand exactly what is the symbology it's everywhere, with the spider, cosmic spider thing. And we too, like mankind is always imitating what it sees to be very, like something powerful. It'll try to imitate it. We'll try to imitate it. And with the web, for example, the internet web and the fiber, internet and so on and so forth, but just the web and everything. Even the way we lay out the maps, looks kind of like a web, the way the internet.
As always, right? That's twice in a row that Jennifer's called in, and literally. Thank you. All right, hold on. Sorry about that. Technical issues. I think the phone line has something against Jennifer, because every time she calls, this happens.
From the call-in studio web interface.
Go.
Audio recording is on dual channel.
Jennifer, you got cut off.
And the idea is that, like, oh, hello?
The phone line dropped right as you began. You were talking about the idea of the web being a map, and then the phone line dropped, and we're just back now. So sorry about that. That's literally twice in a row you've called it's done that. So my apologies. I think there's some sort of a cosmic conspiracy. But go right ahead. Sorry.
I don't know. But, when you think about the weavers of fate and the threads of fate and the three women in all of those accounts of them, I mean, it doesn't matter what sex they are, honestly, but the fact that there are these weavers in these old stories, and it's women, because women do a lot of the weaving back in the day, I'm assuming. But the threads of fate being woven by these characters, and they're pretty much weaving the fates of all of mankind and possibly the entire world. And when Odin was hanging on that tree in the Norse folklore, the whole thing was he was trying to figure out and see, like, what the threads of fate, what they were being woven so he could try to stop Ragnarok, and the weavers, basically. And in the story of the weaver and the worm, it's really interesting because Ragnarok, it's supposed to do with a giant serpent. And in the weaver and the worm, it's the same story. Like the weaver weaves the web of creation, but then the worm, gets tangled up in the web and it causes all this chaos. And things don't turn out exactly like how they're supposed to, in a way. And worm, W-Y-R-M, worm, the word worm also translates to serpent and to dragon. So you can kind of see that there's a constant theme of that sort of thing going on. And the serpent always represented water a lot of times, like the cosmic change of water, and the dragon, and how it can wash over everything and pretty much just wipe it out.
Yeah, what's interesting too about the term worm, of W-Y-R-M. Is it worm? Is it worm? I don't know. I always thought it was worm, but it also links back to Tolkien, right? Because that was the great dragon Smaug. They didn't describe them as dragons in particular. It was the great worm, right? Which is pretty bizarre that we're talking about. We started with Tolkien tonight, and then we end up in some sense ending with Tolkien. I know you're a big Tolkien nerd as well. What do you know about Shelob and Ungoliant, or however you say that name?
Well, not as much as I should, but with the Wyrm, the weaver, the worm, and the weird, W-Y-R-D, in Hamlet and Shakespeare, and the weird, W-Y-R-D, the three witches in Hamlet. What's really weird about that is W-Y-R-D is the word too, so it's like the spoken sound of creation coming into it as well, but also the disturbance of it all. But I thought that was really strange. And the other thing, I think there's so many things, but if you think about the universe itself, if it is kind of mimicking a spider's web of the weaving of fate and everything tied into it and laid out like a fabric almost, it's interesting how on the earth itself or anywhere, if there's a slightest vibration, like a feeler, everything's imitating that too, like we are. Like if you feel something crawl across your foot or something, you sense it up above, in your nervous system, in your brain. It's going on everywhere. Everything has like a feeler going on, all of the senses. And it's mimicking exactly like a spider's web. So it seems like it's all connected, I think. I'm trying to think of all the things I wanted to mention, but I was wanting to mention that it seems to be that there is a cosmic web clearly woven by some creator or something that has an intelligence that's laid it out just like that. And there was something else. Oh yeah, as far as the arachnophobia thing, like I live really far out in the country, and you can't keep the spiders out. Like you just can't. And there's like brown recluse. And I have worked out like an ecosystem that there's like wolf spiders, brown recluse, and then the house spiders. And the brown recluse I don't want, so I leave the wolf spiders. And these wolf spiders eat the brown recluse, and then the house spiders catch the wolf spiders. So it works out well because the house spiders just stay in their webs, right?
And they're all, but those are all giant spiders you're talking about. Those are all huge. What the hell?
Yeah. But it kind of works out that way because the house spiders just stay in their web, and don't bother you at all. But they'll catch the wolf spiders, but the wolf spiders hunt the brown recluse. So it's kind of, I don't know, I have a mixed feeling with, like some of these wolf spiders are so big, I'll like chase them out of the house, they're too big to step on.
Yeah, right, exactly. But, like they may wrestle you to the ground.
Exactly.
Yeah.
No, it's a great show tonight. And clearly there is a weaver of everybody's fates in life. And if the case is that there's a worm that's gotten tangled up in the cosmic, web, and it's causing the chaos, and you need the weird, the W-Y-R-D, the word, or something like that. Oh, and the wolf. There was something about the wolf. I'm not going to go into that, but it's really it's really interesting. Clearly, it starts with all of that. And then the sensors and everything. And then the magnetic fields in the Earth, too, being laid out like a web. And how you have those, like Bermuda Triangle and these special places all over the Earth. It's almost like there's like it sends out a vibration across the whole web, you know? But we're imitating it. We're imitating it with our technology because we know it works. And they're tying it all together. Maybe they're trying to control fate or trying to weave their own fate over humanity with the internet web. You know?
Ah, yes. There's actually a before you take off here. There's a internet company that goes by the name Indra.com. Can you give us 90 seconds on Indra's web?
Well, I don't know. I don't think that's my. I don't. Hopefully, maybe Rivers will call in, or
okay.
Maybe Night will call in and talk about
cool.
Indra's web.
That's not your jam. That's fine.
I take more of like not necessarily. I kind of take a different approach to like European folklore and stuff like that. So, but
fair enough.
I wish I knew more about that. Hopefully, somebody will call in and talk about that.
Perfect. Exactly. So before you go, I got this for you. Double, toil and trouble, fire, burn, and cauldron bubble. You're the best, Jennifer. Have a fantastic night.
Thank you, Mike. Have a good night.
You too. Thanks very much. Jennifer here has a YouTube channel. Please check it out. Give her a follow. Link is in the description. Fantastic. She's brilliant all the time, calling in with amazing takes. And I thought maybe if I baited her with a little Indra's web, she would sprinkle some knowledge on us. But I even respect more the fact that she's like, nah, I don't know enough about it. That's cool. Neither do I, to be perfectly honest. But I got the cliff notes. But interesting that we have this company. It's an internet company, technology company, and it's known as Indra. Indra.com. Our people, your technology. Uh-oh. So maybe she was onto something there. All right. So as we finish this up, the thing is this, right? Like, I don't, again, I don't profess to have any answers. Please don't ever take me out of context of like, oh, listen, this guy, he knows what's up. No, I don't. I promise you I don't. I'm just trying to make some connections and try and figure some things out by asking questions, not by trying to give easy answers. Answers are easy. I always say this. It's not. The entirety of all of it, it's not as simple as that. Being human is not simple. Trying to figure out what the world is about is not simple. And even further, trying to figure out what the actual cosmology of everything is even less simple than that. So please don't ever take me at face value here. We're just drinking maybe juice and talking about what the hell's going on out there. So as we finish, you guys know how this goes. The clearly and obviously great stuff from all the callers tonight. You guys know who you are. If I try and list somebody, I'm going to leave them out. Shout out to Joe Roop. Thanks again for calling and appreciating the show. Thank you very much for that. And well, check it out. This is the way this works. The bad news is we're done. The good news is, God willing, we've got tomorrow. If you're listening to us on The Fringe FM, stay tuned for Joe Roop Lighting the Void. If you're listening to us on any other platform, including the podcast feed, stay tuned for a third hour of Troubled Minds. And as it finishes, it goes a little something like this. Be sure, be strong, be true. Thank you for listening. From our Troubled Minds to yours, have a great night. What's going on? Welcome back. Third hour Trouble Minds coming up. I'm your host, Michael Strange. We're still talking about this. What about this spider mythology? What about the fact that we have what I'm calling cosmic arachnophobia? Weaving the net of infinity. Do you know about Indra's web? Do you know about do you know about Shelob and Middle Earth? Do you know about, Kevin Smith and the spider story? What do you know about? As you know, open-ended, non-linear, We're going to take this wherever you want to take this. 702-957-1037. That's 702-957-1037. Third hour of Troubled Minds coming up. Don't go anywhere. More after a 2-minute break. 2-minute break. Don't go anywhere. Taking your calls. If you haven't called in, tonight is your night. I also fibbed. I think Joe changed his number. I called on a different phone. I said, first time caller, welcome. Joe in Arizona. And he wasn't Arizona, it's Arkansas. And he's called into the show before. just full disclosure to clarify. I have a good memory, and I tried to remember all the things, all the people that call. 702-957-1037. That's 702-957-1037. Spider-Man, we haven't talked about that yet. What about the symbiote? What about Venom? And what about the black goo? We could add that into this discussion as well. 702-957-1037. Shout out to Curious Bunny. Everybody follow the Curious Bunny on YouTube. Be right back. 2-minute break. More Troubled Minds on the way. Be right back. All right, welcome back to Troubled Minds. I'm your host, Michael Strange, and we are streaming on Rockfin, YouTube, D-Live, and Twitter, and we're taking your phone calls. This is into the third hour. No more commercials for Troubled Minds. We're just going to go the whole way through the next hour, and a little longer if it takes, just because the whole idea, right, we have the whole radio format for the first 2 hours, and that's why we do it with the commercial breaks, because it's a radio format. It is what it is, right? It's good. It's extra reach. People are finding us that way. It's a good thing. It's improved the show because of the bumper music that we have to play and the rest of this. So literally, once you trim it all down, this show sounds fucking fantastic. By the way, in the third hour, F-bombs are totally fine. So if you're into that or not, that's cool. So if you're not, well, my apologies. Nobody's perfect. 702-957-1037. We're still talking about this idea of the cosmic spider. What about the cosmic arachnophobia, weaving the net of infinity? That's what I'm calling this tonight. And again, I don't have the answers here, but I do know that we do have that guttural aversion to spiders themselves. And why, though? Again, is it because it is built into our DNA? We've got lots of articles here about Indra's web, about DNA memory and spiders and arachnophobia, and then some of this cosmological stuff about the Tarantula Nebula that Joseph brought up. I mean, so much good stuff here. What about Joe Roop calling about people seeing serpents or spiders in the astral realm when they're traveling? Like this type of stuff. There's a whole lot here, and so I'd love to hear your thoughts. Again, open-ended, non-linear. Wherever you want to take this, we'll go. More, you want to keep it on the ground and talk about Will Smith and the funny spider story with the movie producer in Hollywood? Perfect. If you want to take it cosmically and talk about Indra's web, perfect. If you want to talk about arachnophobia, how you feel about spiders, it doesn't even matter. The whole point is open-ended, non-linear. Where do you want to take it? 702-957-1037. That's 702-957-1037. Let's go to Big Y. What's up, Big Y? Welcome to Troubled Minds. Go right ahead, my friend.
What's up, buddy?
Man, just another Tuesday night talking about crazy shit on Troubled Minds, What's on your mind, my friend?
Well, the best days to talk... Oh, everything, brother. I was going to say the best days to talk about crazy stuff are days that end in Y.
Yeah, absolutely. You're in the right place, for sure, 100%. How do you feel about spiders? Do you have this arachnophobia situation going on, or is it a little less? Go ahead with your thoughts.
I used to. I used to until in college I got a chance to, hold the tarantula and learn a little bit more about them and try to face the fear, and that kind of really now we just have a really good respect for one another.
Okay, that's fair enough. You don't mess with me, I won't mess with you, and it's cool. Okay, go ahead. So continue, please. What else you got?
Oh, I was just gonna say I kind of wanted to move on with the arachnophobia fear. I just had to listening to you guys tonight, and I've been kind of without a phone, so I haven't been able to jump on for a while, but it kind of sparked me to think, I'm a big believer in the possibility of Gnosticism and, these entities like you guys talked a few weeks ago about the reptilian forces around the planet possibly, or, even reading more up on Gnosticism, the archons that supposedly are, shielding around this planet, some type of energetic force field and harvesting the energy through fear or through human souls, whatever it is, like batteries, who knows, the ideas are all out there. But, if there's this general fear of arachnophobia because this great cosmic entity woves the universe is that necessarily something along the lines of the demiurge that thought it was the highest being? So we have this fear of that because of our innate divinity from supposedly, Sophia or whatever else that may be? Or is it opposite even? Is it like Sophia is this weastress of the universe, and we have this fear of her because it's been implemented by this false deity? You know what I mean? Is that even possible?
Yeah, or let's go another option here, meaning let's say the actual demiurge and the archons are using our deepest fear against us, and they're taking that DNA memory of a spider from here on Earth, sort of in that ancestral variety of danger, and then implementing that through shape-shifting or dreams or what have you, and using it against us. There's another idea there, eh?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I mean, people have this innate thing of something that can be dangerous, or something they can't control, and something that's at least on our level in the 3D reality, they can just creep up on us at any point in time. That's something very simple to implement here through.
Yeah, it's hard to say, and I think that's why we talk about it in such vague and broad terms, because you never know, right? Like everybody's like, "Oh, I know what reality is," and I'm like, "Do you though?" I mean, if you really think about it, like all the things we see and all the things we hear are just our interpretation of those things. They aren't necessarily those things at all. And so, well, everything's a human filter, so pretty wild stuff. What about the idea of these, maybe this cosmic web? What's your thought on that?
I'm going to be the boldest person tonight, I think, and say I truly, flat out believe it. And I think it's just a different interpretation of something that's, being like scientifically looked at, like the quantum level and whatnot, within dark matter. And, this web that connects everything, almost like brain synapses of this giant being that we're all the cells of. It looks exactly like that almost. And so I think when you look at it on that level, whatever taught ancient peoples what they believe, obviously had an understanding of this energy, or this, for lack of better terms, web. Yeah, Indra's web. The Hindus describe it. I just think it just makes a lot of sense, and it reverberates across many cultures, and it's starting to sound, as we come into the 21st century, even further on, and in this age of information, everybody's communicating, and you guys on here, like the Night Stalker, and James as well, and all the other guys and gals that get on here, and the spreading of information allows us to really see, like, hey, it's kind of more even strange why more people aren't talking about this, and the connections that seem to be hidden from us. That's kind of what I think about.
Hidden in plain sight, even like some of it is just ancient knowledge that it sometimes recircles back in like animation or new movies and things like this, but it's so bastardized you can't even make the connections anymore, right? It's kind of like always rewriting history through the lens of Hollywood, right? It's unfortunate, but yeah, I mean, it's there. Like all that ancient wisdom is there, and like I always say too, regarding like religions and non-religions and everything else, it's like, hey, like if you're gonna turn down knowledge and turn up your nose and say because it's come from that religion, what are you doing? Like you're literally like, you mean you can't learn something from an entire doctrine? Like, get out of here. Of course you can. Like it's let's get together and like not focus on our differences. Let's focus on the things that make us the same. And there's a lot there. A lot of things in common. Thanks for the phone call. Great stuff. What else you got for us, Big Y?
Oh man, I was going to say, hey man, like, thank you for what you do. Like other people have said tonight, you're killing it out here. I think my last final thought is to kind of piggyback on what you just said. Is we just have so many examples of how even so many different ideas and cultures have been implemented from person to person and people to people, almost like something slithering or something crawling or something just moving so simply as an idea, from religion to foods to cultural practices. It's almost like something like that spider web just fully expanding and learning itself and more and more. That's all kind of these jewels and dimensions where these energies reside, and just pockets where the universe can express itself even fuller. You know what I'm saying? And with the worm getting caught up in it, that could be that, like you said, that chaos that is destroying or working against the order. That and which one's which?
Yeah, exactly. That's a whole nother show right there. Which is which? We don't know, do we? We don't know, do we? Yeah.
Well, yeah, I appreciate you, brother. I'll get off because I know you got other phone calls.
Okay, great stuff. I appreciate it. Thank you so much for the phone call. Thank you for listening. You're welcome back anytime.
Hey, shoots, my guy. Thank you.
Thanks a lot. Thanks for the kind words. Thanks for calling. Thanks for listening. I mean, look, this is what it's about. It's just about, it's a conversation, and some people take it too seriously, and some people don't take it seriously enough. And I'm not the determiner of the arbiter of that truth. Take it as seriously as you want. I don't care. You know what I mean? Like, honestly, I don't care. It's like, it's not about that. It's not about truth to me at all. It's not. Like, it's about maybe focusing on different ideas and aspects of what truth may or may not be. But truth itself, I think it's dangerous. Meaning because truth is an absolute. And if you ask 1,000 people a particular simple binary type question, you'll get 1,000 different answers. Even though, right, the question is framed in sort of a slim, narrow aspect of the conversation, you're still going to get elaborations, people saying it's complicated. I don't like it when people do that to me, when they're like, oh, well, is it this or is it that? Well, I don't know. What if it's something else entirely? You know, like what if it's not one of those two things? It's a simple concept, but people get so pissed off. Anyway, 702-957-1037. We got plenty of people here going on Discord. Let's go to Tam Bam. What's up? You've been waiting the longest. Tam Bam in South Africa. Welcome to Troubled Minds. Go right ahead.
Hi. How are you?
Good morning. I'm doing fine. Everything's good. Feeling good. Looking good. Everything's good. You know what I mean?
That's good. I love that. Truth is absolute, so it shouldn't be, right? I love that.
Yeah, well, it's too absolute. It can be dangerous, and look, and I understand when you say, look, this cup, I'm drinking out of a maybe juice cup, and it's white, right? That's true. I mean, it's true. There is truth. So don't, you know what I mean? Like, again, like, you know, people sort of want to put words into your mouth when you make one statement. The point is, nothing is absolute. Like, what if you're colorblind? This isn't white, right? It's some other off shade of white. You know what I mean? So it just depends. It depends on the perspective. But go right ahead, Tim. I'm sure you got some ideas here with the rest of this. Go right ahead.
Well, yeah. Well, just like, you know, the truth as well. You know, anything can't be the truth because it's all about perspective. And your perspective is completely different to someone else's perspective. So nothing is really true. You know? Anyway.
Yeah.
So you talked about if it's the spider web is more if it's DNA or social indoctrination, and I think it's kind of both. The biggest spider ever caught, or not ever caught, the biggest spider ever documented was preserved perfectly in tar, and it was the size of a you say Volkswagen.
What?
Volkswagen Beetle.
No. What? If there's spiders they caught the size of a Volkswagen Beetle, I want off this ship. I don't want to live in that world. Where did this happen?
This is like, you know how they say that paleontologists had 100 million years ago, it was perfectly preserved in like this tar, and it had a baby as well. So maybe it does come down a DNA, the fear of spiders being so incredibly huge and dangerous that there were more people eaters and less poisonous. But now they're more poisonous and less people eaters. But still, the inherent danger of a spider is still there. It's just the same as like a dog. A dog, you know, I don't know if you've noticed with your doggy, they'll get on a pillow or get on their bed and start scratching. They're kind of like making a nest. So that is a DNA transfer down the line where they were living in the wild, these wolves, dogs, whatever, they were, actually scratch down the surface to make it more softer for them to sleep on. But even though like we give our dogs something soft to sleep on, it is inherent in them that they have to still scratch and find a soft spot and make it all nice and comfortable.
Just right. Sometimes my dog takes 12 or 13 minutes to make it just right.
And about 16 circles. So, I get it.
Exactly. Yep.
So, in that kind of way, I really think it's down our DNA line as Homo sapiens. So, and when it comes to these social indoctrination. I think movies, obviously movies and books and all that play a very big part. But because it's in our DNA construct, movies has made us fearful of these tiny little things. Even the shlob that you're talking about, I call it shlob because that's how you spell it.
Okay.
But the movies have made us super scared about it. So if you've got a DNA, if it's down our DNA line, and then we've got the movies, the compounded fear of a spider is huge for people in general. I mean, I'm not deathly afraid of them. I just don't like spiders. I don't like the fear of it crawling on me or laying eggs in my skin because I've seen so many YouTube videos of weird things that spiders do, right? And pretty much all they're doing is looking for a place to call home. But there's this girl on TikTok who actually it's the cutest thing. She has a little zebra spider as a pet. And she's the one who kind of switched my mind into thinking, okay, maybe they're bloody cute. So she posts these videos on how a little pet, the zebra spider, looks at her and looks away. But then she plays the music in the background and makes it all cute and sweet. And you kind of fall in love with this little cute spider and you kind of want one. But then I think, this fucking thing can jump, right?
Are they Is it a jumping spider? Do they jump?
It looks like it could jump. It just looks like it's got serious jumper legs. But it looks like it can jump. And I'm deathly don't come at me, bro. Like, don't jump on me. I will squish you.
What about what Joseph said? When the jumping spiders jump, they land exactly where they mean to. So if it lands on your face, you see what I did there?
Like, I become a karate ninja guru right then and there.
What did Ronald say? Ronald said on Rockfin, he's all, you do realize we're all going to dream about spiders tonight, don't you?
Oh, for sure. For sure. And then you got to whip out the dream book and see what the dream book says about spiders, right? And then it talks about like witches, and then you think, oh fuck, I'm cursed. So
exactly. I got the quote for you again. Double toil and trouble, fire burn and cauldron bubble. There it is. That's what Jennifer was talking about.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. Anyway, so I feel like we have to kind of unlearn everything we know about spiders, but not spiders in itself, the fear of it. If we look at it at a different angle, at a different perspective, and not see the truth, like you said, as absolute, that spiders are dangerous and scary, and if we look at a different perspective, we can really see spiders as sweet. Like Jennifer, I mean, I almost killed myself laughing. She chases the spiders out because they're too big to stomp on. That is nightmare fuel right there.
Yeah. Look at the spider she's talking about. Do a couple searches. She said brown recluse, and she said the wolf spider. Those are freaking huge. Those things are like this big. Those are not little critters. Those are ones where if you wake up and one's staring you in the face, you may have a heart attack. Oh goodness gracious!
That's like a cat catch. Those kind of spiders.
Yes, exactly.
And a camel spider. Have you seen that? That thing is jeepers. No thanks. Anyway, that just freaks me out. And then Derek was talking about the fact that, you have that thread. So now I'm going to go into the cosmic kind of side of it.
Sure.
But you talk about that thread, that etheric cord. So I really do think that the whole of the universe is interconnected like a web. And but it's not a web as in a negative, I think, a negative thing. I think it's a collective consciousness web. And if you take everything into account, like parallel universes, alien races, and all these things, and everything, like Jennifer said, something happens here, you feel the vibration somewhere else, right? And that is this cosmic wave. It doesn't have to be bad. Now, going back to Earth, Derek said there's a thread that comes within people. Now, something. When you're connected with someone, like you are very connected with your wife, right? So you've got a silver cord thread that stretches out to her. Now, if you want, say when something disastrous happens and you want a divorce, but you're still attached to her in some deeper level, in your mind's eye, this is what they say, you can actually sever that cord with your etheric sword. and you can sever that connection and spiritually, and you will eventually lose your affection and your love and your attention for that person. So when someone has like a negative grip on you, and I'll give you a prime example of my, and this is, a normal thing, so don't shoot me down. My mother-in-law, she's just so negatively attached to me that I had to whip out every gun I could possibly, muster up, and even go to the spiritual realm and sever this cord she has attached to me. And I constantly cut that cord. And surprise, surprise, over time, she's just kind of left me alone the whole time. And it's been wonderful. I'm not going to lie. It's just been absolutely wonderful. So the negative side of it, you can really cut that spiritual cord. And then we got also on Earth, we've got, like someone mentioned in the chat, the ley lines. If you put all the ley lines together and you look at it on a global scale, backed away, it is a massive web. And that is a spiritual web. So everything in connection is a web. Everything you want to connect to, you create a web. Starlink with Elon Musk, that's his web around the earth. You can't do something without creating a connection. You can't do something without creating a web. So the perspective of it being a negative thing, I'm battling to find that in a negative light. I think it's all collective consciousness, and the web we spin can either be positive or negative. It depends just how you want to see it. So if you internally choose joy the whole time, externally, the universe has to match it. But you have to change yourself internally, or else you keep on looking outside and nothing's changed. And if nothing's changed, that means internally you haven't changed. So, yeah.
I like it. So connections are connections, and using the web as a metaphor for those connections can both be positive and negative. And so you should again increase your network of positive connections and sever your negative connections. And there you go, life lesson. Here's another one, an actual quote that was attributed to Shakespeare, but is not actual Shakespeare. "Oh, what a tangled web we weave." It was actually by Sir Walter Scott. But interesting metaphors, eh?
Yeah. And that's connections, right? It's you get involved in someone's drama, you're connected. You try to get out of it, you have to sever that connection. It's horrible. You just got to keep to yourself.
100%, as much as you can. Like there's so much peace in being left alone, but then like being left alone, at some point you're also alone. So you know what I mean? It's like you can't have it all, no matter what. Like you just can't have it all. That's the duality of creation we've talked about. That's life. That's the way it is. You can't have it all. You just can't do it. It's impossible, because like we want our peace, but then we also like want to be a part of a network of amazing people and celebrate it in that manner. But then at some point, like you're leaving your peace behind. So you literally just can't have both in a vacuum. They have to be able to coexist, and that's part of what life is, isn't it?
Yeah, for sure. It's also, you got to bring in the people that resonate with you and who are on the same frequency as you. That creates a beautiful life. You just can't be alone. You can't bring in people because you're sad and alone. You can't just bring anyone.
No, oh no, God no. People trying to take advantage of you, all kinds of stuff. Yeah, no.
Yeah.
It's not good. What was that? The meme I put in the thing the other day? Lead with love, but make sure to master the throat punch.
That was hilarious.
There's the troubled minds. Happy Valentine's Day. Don't forget to master the throat punch. Geez, you're the best, Tam Bam. You're welcome to hang around. Of course, we got calls behind you. We got to roll. So do your thing. You're welcome to stay there. If you're going to stay, let me know, and I'll make a point to get back to you. You can hang out with us.
I will hang out.
Okay, I'll get back to you as soon as I can. Thanks, Tam Bam. You're the best. Appreciate it very much.
Okay.
Tam Bam has a Instagram channel. Follow her down below. Links in the description. Tam Bam, great people, contributing to the show very much for very well for a very long time. Let's go to I'm not sure who was first because I was watching the phone instead. Matt or Kelly? You guys can both come on. Let's do it. We'll hammer it out. We can have a math and Kelly-a-thon. What's going on, guys? Matt and Kelly-a-thon. See what I did there? Welcome, guys. What's up? Welcome to Troubled Minds.
Hey, guys. Kelly was first. Go ahead, Kelly.
Thank you. There you go. See? Somebody's watching. Thanks, Matt. Go right ahead, Kelly.
Good evening. How's it going?
Doing good, man. Doing my thing. You know what's up? Talking about crazy shit on a regular Tuesday night. Go right ahead. What do you know about spiders and the rest of this, my man?
Well, first off, someone said ancient knowledge, so I kind of have to pop in on that one. And
yeah, for sure.
He's arachnophobia right now, which would be, most people, how many spiders we eat a year. And also the fact that if spiders, there was a thing that someone put together that if all the spiders in the world were to get together, they could eat all of humanity in 2 months. So just throw that out there for everybody.
Okay, which is not good, right? Is that not good? I'm guessing that's not a good thing.
No, it's not. But to get to this point of the cosmic web, that's in Hinduism, because that's some of the ancient knowledge that obviously I read a few books of the Vedas. Some of them were the Bhagavad Gita, the Upanishads, and the Mahabharata, and a lot of those, they talk about some of this too. Where you were talking when you first started the show. Some of the they call these things like the web. It was like either pearls or jewels. Some people call it jewels or science like nodes, right? So Indra's net is equal to like Bell theorem, where everybody thinks that it kind of blows holes through like how some people say that everything's like an individuality, right? But in fact, everything is connected like a web, the universe and everything. The first picture of the cosmic web was first seen through a 3D spectroscope that was that was using the Muse instrument that was over in the very large telescope is what they call it over in Chile. I don't know if anybody's seen that. I think they had the problem where those things were snapping, and I think that telescope went down.
Arecibo. Yep.
Yeah. But then when they first tracked and was mapping the universe, it was using that 3D spectrograph, right? What it does is mapping it
You're cutting out, Kelly. Just to let you know, I don't think it's you. I think it was the technology that time. You sounded like a robot. So give it just a sec, and then the last couple 3 sentences you said didn't come through. Let's try it again.
Yeah. So when they're saying like it was mapping the universe, right? So when they found it, it was when they were doing it with that 3D spectrograph, right? It was what they were finding was like multitudes of hidden dwarf galaxies with deep within the depths of the universe. So, and by looking through that, it looks like all these galaxies throughout these parts of universes that they've been mapping were connected through, it looks like a light source, right? So it also, even by doing so, it looks like a giant web, right? That's where the whole, that cosmic web is, and everything's connected. And with the Hindus, they believe it was, like everything was connected through like a jewel, right? Where every touching point is with a jewel or, pearls or then these nodes. And that if one of the nodes are touched in that net, all the other jewels or nodes are affected, and that's the entanglement. That's the whole thing with Bell's theorem too, was in entanglement. Now, what's interesting was when I first ran across this, I was, doing a lot of some research for UFO research, right? And I found this talk. I can't remember where it was from at this moment, but they were talking about how when the reason why we had so many different type of aliens, type of species that came to Earth is because when we first detonating, like the atomic bombs, like nuclear weapons, and aliens or UFOs affecting or flying over the top of these, the nuclear power plants and stuff. That's the reason, is because of this Indra's net, how everything's connected. So if it's just like a spider web, how a spider can sit still and feel movement on it, right? So when we started detonating these bombs, that sent out a galactic shockwave throughout this web, and that it affected these other nodes. And when that happens, that's why they told us they don't want us to start messing with these things, because it's affecting the web like that. All these other nodes are being affected within that area, and that's not good, because what they're finding, in that thing, it's like their theory is like that when you have it's just they're not really like reality is like reflections of each other. So and one of this one I was reading, it was like the illusion in Maya, right? The fact that all nodes are simply reflections of all the other ones. That's the whole theory on it. And so this implies the illusionary nature of all appearances. So appearances they're not really, it's not reality. They're just reflections of reality that we're all, facing at some point, right? So I don't know, man. For me, it's a deep thought. This philosophy through Hinduism, it really makes you think a lot about how your thoughts throughout life. Everything how you do with touch everything in life. Or nature throughout everything, and what we're doing on this planet, and what doing to each other it's not a good thing. It's just that's not a reflection that we want to put out there as throughout the universe. Throughout these galaxies that are around us, I believe it's a negative. That's the negative part that we're weaving, and we should stop. And I believe that we're it's just a shitty way to go about doing things right now, man.
Yeah, I think Tam Bam had it right too, describing sort of those connections. That's like we weave our own web also, and so it doesn't have to be negative, right? We can chop some of those negative connections, and foster some of the more positive connections. It's again, and it goes back to what Robert said on Rockfin. He said we manifest our own reality in this universe. You tell the universe what you want, and it gives it back, right? But if you don't tell it what you want, you're going to get kind of a mixed bag of whatever the fuck comes, right? So I mean, I think there's some wisdom in all of this, because you're right, all this negativity is terrible, but we don't have to deal with it, do we? Like I say, look, on this show, me from day one, Kelly. You've been here for a very long time, listening, participating, calling in, and the thing is, I reject it. Like all the bullshit they're trying to dump on our heads, I reject it entirely, because there are more important things to talk about, and that's what this is about to me, right?
It is too, man. So yeah, and reflecting on some of that stuff too, like another thing for that Bill Thurman, and I was reading, can't remember the book right now, but they were talking about localicity, right? So that's like with the Bell theorem, So it shoots through holes through like the assumption of a solid or fixed universe, right? So the fact that these nodes are just simply reflections, that indicates that there is no particular single source point from which all this arises. So it's almost like if you're looking at, I would say people, that's where like religions come from and stuff. That's where religions can be pulled from, of that, thinking of, of all this stuff where, there's like, let's say a God, or right, some people would call a God like a single source. But if you go through this type of thinking, that there is no single source, it's just all one, we're connected, and and you hear that throughout history, and even through philosophy and through religions, that that's more or less what they're trying to get at, is that you should be just reflects the reflections that you're putting out, your vibration and everything, as a person, and as a unit, as a society, and as a species, as a human species. Maybe that's why they came here, to slap our hands, fucking, hey, pull your head out of your asses, and this is not the way to do it.
Yeah, 100%. Speaking of head up the ass, I saw. I was not sure who posted it, but I saw a looked like a skeleton with its head up his ass, and it was talking about archaeologists discovered the first lawyer, or something like that. Funny. I mean, funny, not funny. Anyway, great stuff, brother. Great stuff. What else you got for us? We got Matt behind you, so we got to work him in here.
Let Matt have a turn. I'll go ahead and sit back and go mute.
Okay. Hang tight. We'll get back to you and Tam. Let's go to Matt in California. That was Kelly. Thanks, Kelly. Kelly in Colorado. Always great stuff. Matt, what's up, my brother? Welcome to Troubled Minds. How are you?
Hey, Mike. How's it going?
Doing well. Random night ends in Y. Talking about crazy shit. First, before you start, how do you feel about spiders?
I think spiders, is telling you to face your fears. But I guess it depends on how big the spider.
If it's as big as a Volkswagen, no thanks.
Yeah,
no fucking thanks.
So I'm the person. If it's in my house, if it's a little one, I'll take it out, like a daddy long leg or something. I'll take it outside. But if it's like a big, like scary one, yeah, okay. Sorry, man, you're in my house.
Hey, I'm walking here.
Yeah, sorry.
That's the Derek doctrine. Hey, you're in my. Hey, look, this is my place, and you're a spider. We got a problem here. We got a problem here. I'm sure you got other ideas. So I got other questions to ask you, but go right ahead. I'm sure you got some better stuff than that.
I wanted to call and talk about like when I think of like the weaving, and I was going to talk about the fate weavers, the 3 fate weavers. There's always like in a lot of cultures, there's a lot of things, triplicities, like 3s. There's the energy that creates, the energy that sustains, and the energy that destroys or dissolves to create something new. And so in some of these old stories, they're talking about like these 3 weavers of fate, and they kind of remind me of the triple goddess, the mother, maiden, and crone. A young woman, a middle-aged woman, and then an old lady. And so it works like that it fits that the weavers, the first weaver, the young lady, she creates. So she's on the wheel spinning, right? Making the weave. And then the second woman, that's the middle woman, she measures out how long your life is, or how long the life is going to be. And then the old woman cuts the strand. So it's like creation, how long you live, and then destruction. And that goes with like a lot. It goes through like all cultures. It goes through, anything. And I talked about it, the mother, maiden, and crone, which we see in like the moon phases. And then it goes, in Christianity, it's the Father, Son, the Holy Spirit. I think Kelly was talking about Hinduism, Brahma, Vishnu, and Shiva, the destroyer. So, it goes through that theme of the triple, like beginning, middle, and end is out throughout all creation.
There's your Trinity.
And so
yeah.
Yep. And so I think that has to do something with what we're talking about tonight about the weaver, the threads, how we're all connected and stuff like that. It goes all the way back to like the beginning of creation. So I guess when we're talking about this on like a like the massive scale, the macrosm scale, I think maybe what we're looking at here is what I was thinking is back to dark matter. And with dark matter, it's like the only thing, I make a joke, it's like the only thing we know about dark matter is that it exists. We don't really know much about dark matter, what it is. Like, what is it? It's not something it's not scientifically like describable, I guess.
Not yet.
And so
Not yet.
that's super interesting to me. So maybe it is. Maybe that's what it is. Maybe the dark matter is just the macrosm level of the web, and we're all connected in that. And then we're all also connected in our webs, how we're all connected to each other through, or being our friends around the world. And then you're also connected to your family and all that. So yeah, sorry, go ahead.
No, perfect. And I think that's part of it too. So, and we talk about the web in terms of like, a spider's web tonight, of course, but also what's known as the web is the internet. And so like you described, right? Mm-hmm. Matt and I, we're friends, right? He came out to Vegas. We had dinner. It was a great time. And the thing is this, right? So like the web itself, again, back to that idea that there's this website called Indra, which again, right? It's a technology it's an internet company. And this is the whole idea, right? That whole so we're talking in terms of like cosmological web. We're talking about Indra's web. We're talking about connections between people. But what about the digital web? We haven't even really touched on that. But you're spot on here, 100%, my man. Indra.com, check it out. It's bulletproof. We know how to make sure any app is up and running all the time, every time. There it is. Oh boy.
Yeah, it's creepy, but yeah, the whole internet thing is interesting. You said that too, because, like you said, without it, we would, we might have never met.
Yeah,
and we would have never met these awesome people that we talk to every night. So exactly. I think that's pretty cool.
Exactly. And so like Tam Bam said as well, so that web can be a good thing, but it could also be a bad thing, like those connections. So can we choose to sever those connections? I think that's the question, right? And clearly, about me, as Rohan says, yeah, Mike says he doesn't believe in magic, but he does. He just likes to do his own magic, right? He doesn't like to deal with anybody else's. And that, like, if that's fine by me. It's just like, hey, look, let's look the direction we're going and be positive and be work hard and do all the right things, but also be aware of people coming by. Don't run them over because you're so focused. Just, hey, it's a big world. Let's fucking share it, shall we? I mean, fuck's sakes, right?
Yeah, and if there is people out there that maybe, don't need to be in your life, you could sever those ties. You don't, if you don't need them in your life, yeah, you could cut the cord.
Yeah, bink, bink, adios. Adios.
Easy.
And, yeah, you know who they are too. Like, there's people in your life that have been bringing you down your whole fucking life, right? Everybody knows these type of people. And it's like, come on, right? Look, look, there's some people in my family that don't know I do this show. You know why? Because they're negative Nancy's. Because they'll be like, oh, what the fuck you talking about UFOs? What the fuck? Blah, blah, blah. And they'll meddle and they'll do this and they'll be in the chat and they'll be stirring up drama and they'll call in and try and dox me. My own fucking family, right? Like, there's just like toxic ass people out there. And it's like, hey, you don't got to know everything I'm doing. You don't got to know everything I'm doing. That's just the way this fucking world works. So what about, right? You know people like that, I'm sure, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think we're all connected. And like you said, yeah, negative people, we need to cut them out of our life. Go ahead.
No, for sure. So what about the idea of this? If there's a web that was woven across the universe, how big is this spider, Matt? Oh, shit. We went there. We did it. How big is that spider, Matt?
Yeah, it goes back to the primordial old ones, the Lovecraftian.
Yes.
Crazy monsters they're like unfathomable.
Yeah.
That's how big it is.
That's how big it is. Exactly. And I think that's what creeps me out. In particular, spiders and me, we're okay. For the most part, I'll try and take them outside and stuff. Like, I don't have a problem with spiders because I know they're eating critters that shouldn't be in here, But like I said, if you get one that has like the EBGBs and some eyeballs and he's like staring at you and you're staring at him, maybe we have a different problem. But yeah, for the most part, I'll try. Like, I can scoop them up on a piece of paper and throw them out. I could. I'm not scared to grab them. By the way, like I could grab them. I just don't want to smoosh them. You know what I'm saying? It's like, here I'm trying to help you as I tear off 4 of your legs and throw you outside. That's not helping anybody, right? I mean, anyway.
Yeah, and I know people that have spider as their spirit animal, and I'm like, ugh, like, because they're like, why do you kill the spider? That's my spirit animal. It's like, sorry, man, I can't do it. and they talk about like they see, like I said, if you see, the animals in 3, that could be your spirit animal. But people, they see it, they help the spider, and the spider helps them. And I think it was the biggest one was just looking up spider, what it means as if you see it in your dreams. It means face your fears. It's something's telling you to just face your fears head on, and that's what it is. And that's interesting because spiders, a lot of people are scared of spiders. And I can't remember who it was. Someone said, like, you hold I've never done it, but if you hold a tarantula or something, you might find out that maybe they're not so scary after all. It's a stereotype. We're all lumped together with all the scary movies and all the bad things that spiders do. But then spiders actually, they're good for the ecosystem. They do crazy stuff, and they create those webs the way they create them. And there's even things about, like, a spider's web is like the strongest thing. Like, if you weave a spider's web together, it's like stronger than steel. Have you heard that?
Yeah, exactly. And so even for all our science and trust the science, by the way, the spiders for size comparison, the web they weave is stronger than our steel. So yeah, that's a fact. And if we could create it based on at scale, larger, smaller as we need it, that exact organic thing, if you can fucking believe that, then wouldn't you know it? In nature is more efficient than science. Who knew?
Yeah, we gotta figure out a way to harness that.
Yeah, exactly. Who knew? Yeah, crazy stuff, man. So I think too, like there's that feeling, like when like I'll get like that like, oh God, like my shudder when like I think I've walked into a spider web, even if it's like a kind of the tip of a tree branch, kind of tickles my shoulder or my neck, and I didn't realize it was there, and I think it was a spider web. I'll definitely get that like, oh fuck response, But like, I'm not looking to punch some spiders, if you know what I'm saying. But like, it's there, it's built into us. I get the arachnophobia, but I don't have it like a lot of people have it. But yeah.
Yeah. What's the fastest way to become a ninja?
You tell me.
Walk into a spider web.
There it is. That ninja training. The best, man. That's so good. It can't even be considered a dad joke. What else you got for us, my friend?
That's all. I just wanted to throw out there the creation thing, because I think that's interesting when we're talking about weaving.
Yeah, it is. It is a actual. It's a thing. It seems to be a thing, right? And so even in terms of ourselves, we're weaving our own destiny at some point, right? Or not? Mm-hmm. Or not? Yeah. Great stuff.
Right,
great stuff as always.
Thanks, Mike.
You're the best, brother. Always a pleasure. Tell Lacey I said hi, and have a great night, brother. Thanks for.
All right, man, you too.
Thanks, Matt. Very, 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 very much. That's Matt in California. Good stuff. Tam Bam. Take on anything Kelly said and what Matt said, and then we'll go back to Kelly here, and then we'll finish this up.
It was all great. I mean, I just wanted to go back to what you said. You said earlier you reject anything that is negative. I just have a different perspective on that. So when something negative comes into my life, I try and change it into a positive way in terms of a stepping stone. Because if you look at the path of a stepping stone, you have to go onto one to get to the other, right? So if there's a stone in front of you that you do not like and you want to take it out and throw it away, how are you going to get from where you are to the following stepping stone without the one that you needed? So in that stepping stone that you don't like might not be something that you like, but it might be something that you need for growth and learning.
No, you're correct. You're correct. Wisdom. But I think you're mischaracterizing what I said. It was more of a general notion. No, I'm just saying maybe I wasn't exactly clear, but I agree with you. If you chop all of it out, you can't learn from mistakes. So basically, if we chopped out all of our mistakes before we made them, we'd be perfect. And we can't because mistakes come. It's the same thing with people, right? By the way, like we can be wrong about people. We can think they're negative and a negative influence and the rest of this and then change our mind. Maybe they had a bad day when we met them. Maybe they were going through a divorce when we met them. You never fucking know. And this is part of the point, right? This is part of why I always say that, like, as people, we deserve redemption. We deserve a second and a third chance. Because everybody fucks up. And if you say you can't and you don't, you're lying. Everybody screws up at some point, and that's it. And so I agree with you 100%. So I'm not saying you're wrong. I'm saying you're correct, and we agree. It's just we said it different ways. But absolutely, go right ahead.
Yeah, well, that's why I try and understand, when there's a troll, someone says something negative about me, I just try and understand from their perspective. Listen, firstly, you're a perfect fucking stranger to me, and you're going on what I say, you know one iota of my entire existence, and you want to troll me and say something bad. So I try and see it like they actually don't know me. They don't care to know me. So that troll needs to stay where it is. And I don't even give them a time of day. But I do learn from it. So that the person is going through something. It's a reflection upon them, not on me. They have a problem with what I'm saying, not having a problem with me per se, because they don't know me.
Yeah, no, exactly, and that's the thing, right? So we've had some instances of that. You guys have seen it live on this show, where people call in and they assume they know all this shit about me, and they have no fucking idea, and they're trying to like make these aspersions, accusations about what I'm trying to do, and they have no idea. Like if you listen to what I'm saying, like a lot of the things I'm talking about are very in line with Christianity, right? But also many other things too. It's not one single thing. It's like, hey, look. We all live on this rock together. Let's not be dickheads. You know what I mean? Like boiling it down, like that's what it's about. That's what I've always been saying. Correct me if I'm wrong. Has that been my message for a long time, Tam Bam?
Not like what I love about your show is you come in with and you pull in everybody's perspective and you're open-minded to everybody's point of view, everybody's air quote truth and perspective. And you don't come with this attitude of, listen, I'm a universal law. I'm like gravity. I am exactly who I am, and this is what it is. You don't come with that. You come with peace, and you accept everything and everyone, and you don't have to tolerate the other bullshit. If no one else is willing to understand your perspective or ask questions to get to know and have the emotional maturity to understand the collective, then you don't really deserve to be here, do you? Because you're not on the same frequency or bandwidth that we are all resonating upon as an online family within the group.
Yeah, and I get it. I understand. Like if you don't find something like this, and I'm saying this is a bit of peace in a crazy chaotic world, right? This is a bit of peace, right? But it doesn't like there are so few bastions of peace anymore, islands of peace, that when you come here, I get how you would be agitated hearing so many different things, and like if you listen for 30 or 45 minutes and you're like, what the fuck are these guys talking about? Nobody knows what they're talking about. But what you don't understand is that like nobody's approaching it as this is God's truth. This is just a conversation. It's just some ideas. It's just some ideas, people. Hey, relax.
Exactly, right. And they can fuck off to another web.
Yeah, go find the political ideologies where you want to like call each other names and shit. And just staying here.
Go onto another spider's web and go resonate on that frequency, not here.
Yeah, not here. Great stuff. Yeah. Let's get to Kelly and then let's wrap this up. And thank you, Tam Bam. You're the best. Kelly, Colorado, what's up, brother? Anything on what Matt said or what Tam Bam said or anything else? Go right ahead, sir, if you're still there.
I kind of forgot about the whole Hinduism, but they talk about all these powerful gods and stuff, but the main one was Brahma, right? That's all creation, right? So, and what's interesting too is like if you look at it in science and how they explain it with theology and with science is there's just like space, it's all black matter, dark matter, and space does us shooting out planets and stuff, right? Universes and whatnot, but that's what Brahma is more or less. It's the darkness of all. It's like the all knowing, but it's in the dark areas. I don't know. I just kind of want to put those two kind of, when I think about that, that's what I look at it. But yeah, but as spiders and like everybody else's, but for me, I'm a gardener type person. So every year wherever I moved out when I was a Navy, I always try to have garden, me and Michelle, but I use spiders. I used to throw all kinds of spiders in my garden just to get rid of all the other ones, man. So
yeah, they're eating your plants. Get rid of those guys. Spiders are fine.
Yeah, the spider mites, those things can go, man. So I used to either throw those or praying mantis. The praying mantis would take care of all those little critters too. So yeah, that's kind of weird too. If you're thinking of UFOs and aliens, people thinking of like they've said they've seen like praying mantis or insect type creatures, and then you have the web, the spider. I wouldn't say it would. I don't think it like if we're thinking of like I guess these spider gods were like how the Night Stalker was talking about. I mean more like these arachnophobia gods. There would be many of them, not just one big one. I would think, if there was going to be, because how vast from node to node, jewel to jewel, how vast it is. It's like you and Matt were talking about. And that's the kernel. That's pretty far, man. And that's why. And some of that even talked about, not even sometimes the mind can't even comprehend something like that to even, try to wrap their mind around it. That's all I'm saying. Some that's into Hinduism, when you read some of these Vedas, man, that's some deep stuff, boy. And it makes you think. It makes you think, because you have to read it like not once, but a few times, man. You can't, like, I picked this book up a few times, and man, you get a lot of stuff out of it, because it's pretty good stuff. If anybody has read these books, they're pretty good. I don't know if you have, Mike, but yeah, you should probably check it out.
I haven't actually. I haven't, just somebody else's version, like a Wikipedia version or somebody else describing. Speaking of which, I want to read this real quick. Speaking of somebody else's version, I got this quote. This is from what actual Indra's web is, as described by somebody else, from a book. Francis H. Cook describes Indra's net or web thus. This is pretty amazing. Far away in the heavenly abode of the great Indra, there is a wonderful net which has been hung by some cunning artificer in such a manner that it stretches out infinitely in all directions. In accordance with the extravagant tastes of deities, the artificer has hung a single glittering jewel in each eye of the net, and since the net itself is infinite in dimension, the jewels are infinite in number. There hang the jewels, glittering like stars in the first magnitude, a wonderful sight to behold. If we now arbitrarily select one of these jewels for inspection and look closely at it, we will discover that its polished surface there are reflected all the other jewels in the net, infinite in number. Not only that, but each of the jewels reflected in this one jewel is also reflecting all the other jewels, so that there is an infinite reflecting process occurring. And there you go. There you go. Like I said, sometimes other people have a better way of saying things than me, and so there you go. I
love that.
Right?
That kind of describes like the Earth being the jewel, and inside the Earth all the humans, and we're all like a little web of little glowing gorgeousness.
And each one of us, again, micro, macro, each one of us are those jewels, aren't we?
Yes.
Yeah. Like here, like here, for example, like you were saying, Tambam, or we're all vibrating, to this area right here where we're at. We're a jewel or a node, or a pearl. We're part of that section as well. You know what I mean? So that's part of that book I was reading too. Is that the issue, the illusion in Maya, that it's all just reflecting of all of them. And that's kind of crazy to think, man. It's almost like you're putting, I don't know, like how you see like a honeycomb or whatever, and it's just vast. It keeps going like in a computer system, where I don't know if you guys ever seen like any kind of stuff like that, or it looks like it just keeps going and going and going. But it's something
that's like our bodies as well.
Yeah.
Our bodies are interconnected, woven strings as well. And even if you go into a deep, in the atom, we've got quarks, and the quarks inside the atom are strings as well. So, like little webs as well.
Not talking, what it kind of reminds me of is like how that, we were talking about not a philosopher, but that scientists were saying that, this whole string theory where, everything was a numbers, like a computer system. But maybe this type of like how this intranet is more, I would say how everything is. It's more of a reflection, not of a computer system. You know what I mean? And so it's like you're reflecting of everything else. So you're a reflection of everything else, and everything else is a reflection of you. That's pretty deep.
That is a head scratcher right there. It's going to take me a week to absorb that shit.
Yeah,
that's what it's all about.
Good stuff.
That's some Robert level stuff. The Robert over on Rock Fan. I don't know if he's still with us tonight, but yeah, I mean, that's exactly what we're talking about. It's a big universe, right? And like, it's so unimaginative to me to boil humanity down to, you know, like the street corner and like the news broadcast and your job. I mean, fuck's sakes, like there's so much more out there that's worth exploring and explaining and talking about. And here we are, ladies and gentlemen. You guys are the best. Yeah, we're about that time. We're about to wrap this MFR up. Final thoughts. We got Kelly and Tam Bam here. Thanks again for all the amazing calls tonight. And the interwebs, says Matt in the chat. Exactly, the interwebs. Here we are. Yeah, so as we finish, you guys know the drill. Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, 7 p.m. Pacific. Go ahead, final thoughts. We'll go Tam Bam, we'll go Kelly, and let's get the hell out of here.
Okay, so final thoughts. Let me just show you how insignificant and complicated the whole thing is, right? The whole conversation. If you to each system and even further into that, like I said, into each atom and then get to the quark and then expand it all out into outer Earth and into out of our universe and out of our consciousness and out of everything. It's unimaginable. I mean, you can't even think about it. It's crazy. It's vast and it's weird, and we actually both are relevant and irrelevant at the same time.
Exactly right. That's a T-shirt right there. Relevant.
It is, if I could.
And irrelevant. With the Troubled Minds logo.
Bumper sticker.
With a little thing that says dash Tam Bam. Yeah. 100%. That's the micro, the macro, the fractals, and all the whole thing, right? Again, like the universe seems to do those things with or without us. So, are we relevant or are we not? That's a whole.
Well, there we go.
That's a whole other thing, isn't it? We just seem to be part of that larger cycle, and smaller cycles kind of locked in between, and we don't even know, right? Like locked in between, we may be on like the 10% small scale and think we're locked in between, and we're not. we're like tiny, you know what I mean? Like we think
a stepping stone.
Exactly. We think fleas are tiny, but no, fleas are super tiny, right? We're tiny. Like who knows? Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, for sure.
And we're big at the same time.
Well, I'm as big as my ego. You know how big's my ego? Y'all know.
Huge.
Don't come up in here and challenge my ego because it'll freak the fuck out. I'll tell you what.
What's up, man?
All right, Kelly. Let's finish it. What's up, brother?
Oh man, not for me, not so much, but just reflections of life. You know, I mean, we are bigger. I mean, we might be small, but everything's still. I mean, you can't have the macro without the micro. So, and some things that are. I tell you how my mom would tell you. Hey, when we were in judo, she used to tell us dynamite comes in small packages. So, you know,
that's me.
And that's where where life comes from is from the atom. So, and it's very small. So. We're not as minute as we think. We're part of the web, this cosmic web. We're reflections of something, you know, and they're reflections of us. So I just like to think of it as that, man. You guys have a good night, and we'll see you tomorrow.
You too, brother. You're the best. I love it. Dynamite comes in small packages. By the way, you know what happens, Kelly, when you split the atom, right?
Oh, yeah. Kabang.
Kablooey! to the astronomical proportions. Yeah, exactly. Perfect stuff. You're amazing, brother. Great. That's a T-shirt as well. We need to. I need to write all that shit down. You guys are the best. Thank you so much for being part of this. Kelly, Tam Bam, you guys have a great night, great morning, respectively. And here we go. As we finish, let's roll it out. Let's play some. Anybody got an outro for us while we're here? If you do or you don't, no pressure. No pressure.
I think I have one.
Okay.
By Henry David Thoreau.
Okay. All right. Hold on. Let me give you some music and just give me a sec. All right. So as we're finishing up here, we got a Tamtro for you. Tam Bam from South Africa. She's got an outro for us. We're going to play some music and get the hell out of here. You guys know the drill. We go Monday through Thursday, so we'll be back tomorrow night at 7 p.m. Pacific. And Tam Bam, thank you very much for waking up early and hanging out with us. She wakes up at like 4 or 5 in the morning just to watch Troubled Minds. And also shout out to all the people that stay up late out there to listen and hang out with us as well. Very I'm very honored and blessed by that. Thank you so much, Tam Bam. Playing it. Here we go. You get music. Wait for the bass to drop. You know how this goes.
Mm-hmm.
Ladies and gentlemen, Tam Bam.
Live your beliefs and you can turn the world around. That's it.
Who's it by? Again, please.
Henry David Thoreau.
Perfect. That's what this is all about. Do you want to be part of the show? You got to wait till tomorrow. 702-957-1037. Put it in your Rolodex, which is an old school term. Look it up. You'll be like, fuck, Mike is old. All right, let's get the hell out of here. As this goes, Jay, you got a one up from Jay out there. Jay in New York says, Tam, rocking the outro. There you go. The guy that brought us the DJ Tro is appreciative of the Tam Tro, as am I. Thanks, guys. You're the best.
Can I tell you what it is?
Yeah, go ahead.
It's my diary. Every day my diary has a new quote.
Nice. So this one was meant to be, actually.
That's the scary part, is when you have a show, it becomes relevant to the topics. Every time. By the way, vast journalist, I see there, I don't wear a wristwatch. That shit's for old people. I'm just kidding. All right, getting the hell out of here. Thank you very much for being prepared with that, Tam Bam. Thanks to Destiny for making it happen in your daily whatever the fuck's going on with that. And as we finish, it goes a little something like this. We'll be back tomorrow night. God willing, we'll be back tomorrow night. The bad news is we're finished. The good news is, God willing, we've got tomorrow, 7 p.m. Pacific, Monday through Thursday. We'll see you then. And as it finishes, it goes a little something like this. Be sure.
Be strong.
Be strong. Be true.
Be true. Thank you for listening. From our troubled minds to yours, have a great night.
Have a good night.
Just real quick as we finish, Easter egg as we go. Speaking of being old, the great Michael Savage of radio once said, never let an old person live inside your body. With that, I'm out of here. Have a great one, guys.